All right, welcome everyone to episode 93 of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. I'm your host Triple J. Joining me is my co-host Dr. Games 101,
What's going on, guys? Hello, hello.
and we're going to be going over the latest stories in gaming or that happened over the last 2 weeks. Are you ready to start with the first story?
Oh yeah, thanks. I've been here for the last several days, definitely.
Okay, okay. Let's start then. First story coming up: a new Barbie game is coming this year. Bobby's next adventure heading to a screen near you in 2024. Mattel has announced a partnership with Lolic, a subsidiary of Zynga, for the purpose of producing a new Barbie mobile game slated to release sometime in 2024. The game's title and precise launch date have not been announced, but Mattel says its ongoing efforts to expand its portfolio of licensed video games is part of a strategic initiative to bolster its digital games business. Partnering with Rollic and Zynga enables us to bring a fresh and exciting mass-market Barbie mobile game to fans worldwide, said Mattel Global Head of Digital Gaming, Mike Deliet. This collaboration underscores Mattel's dedication to leveraging our iconic brands in innovative ways and propels our digital games division ability to deliver best-in-class immersive entertainment experience for fans of all ages. So far, Mattel hasn't released any details on the actual contents of the game, so it's unclear what exactly Barbie will be getting up to in the upcoming mobile release. Mattel's most recent Barbie-based mobile offering, Barbie Dreamhouse Adventure, was developed by Bud Studios and is currently sitting at a 4.4 star rating on the App Store. The game is available on both mobile devices and Nintendo Switch, so it's possible that Mattel's upcoming Zynga made Barbie title will also be available on Switch. Barbie is beloved by generations of players around the world, and we are delighted to partner with Mattel to bring the latest iteration of this icon to mobile gaming, Rolex CEO Barak Vodal said of the project. Our team's ability to translate cultural moments into lasting gameplay allows us to provide players with another place to engage with their favorite IP, and we are excited to step into the world of Barbie with this brand new title. Interest in Barbie IP has skyrocketed since the 2023 release of Greta Gerwig's Barbie film, which starred Margot Robbie as the fantastic plastic doll. So, what do you think of another Barbie game? Because when I hear the words Barbie and game, I got to be honest, I think, oh god, it's going to be a disaster.
Or at least the least popular, one of the least popular games of all time, as always.
They've made so many. I've even reviewed one or two, and they were pretty bad. So I'm kind of surprised that they're even making games of Barbie. And obviously, I knew this was all because of the movie that released last year. But it's kind of like, why? I mean, I forget. I think no, because I think the game I reviewed was Barbie Adventure. They tried to turn Barbie into Tomb Raider, Lara Croft from Tomb Raider, um, and it was pretty bad. Not as bad as something like Tomb Raider 3.
Oh yeah, that's very
But
challenging.
yeah, it wasn't that challenging. But like more like in a snowy climate with Barbie, then she's like going up the side of a mountain in Barbie Adventure. So it's like, yeah, it's I failed to recall even one game featuring Barbie that's succeeded.
Yeah, for all these decades so far, last 30 years at least, and they have
There
like
was
this.
Barbie. There was a Barbie game on Nintendo, on the 8-bit Nintendo.
Hmm.
So we're going that far back. We're going like 40 years back.
Yeah,
And I can't think of one game. That's still warm. I can't think of one game that's been tolerable.
yeah, they appeal towards a small audience of people. It's usually the kids, the female kids. So
Yeah,
the female kids will eat it up anyway. It may not be the best game or an average to game to play as a typical gamer, but for those 3, 4, 5, 10-year old female kids, they'll play with no problem.
yeah. So again, if as more information comes out on what this new Barbie title will be, um, we'll we'll discuss it here. There's no release date for it yet, so basically, We know Zynga and that studio Wallach is working on it, but that's all we know so far.
And what's interesting about Barbie is we're all since 1950s, and since then it's been going. It's been into the mainstream sense and very successful in the dolls and all. But when it comes down to certain not toys per se, but the toys were successful no matter what. But the movie,
Yeah,
like the games and all, over the last 40 years, you say, I thought it was 30 years. Well, you're right, it was 40 years now. Yeah, it's like it's a very small niche audience for those type of people, and that's usually for kids or like female and all.
yeah. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm not saying anything about girls in gaming, but I am saying girls are the only ones who's going to want to play a Barbie game unless you got some kind of tendencies that or B, none. Like I said, name one game that's been good.
Oh yeah. Excuse me.
Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
We can move on from now on.
All right. Next, the next Terminator game challenges you to survive after Judgment Day. Terminator Survivors launches in early access for PC in October. Nacon has announced Terminator Survivors, a new open-world survival game coming later this year. Set several years after the events of Terminator 2 Judgment Day, you'll take control of a band of survivors in a world ruined by the nuclear Armageddon and ruled by Skynet. John Connor hasn't formed a human resistance yet to fight back against the machines, and you'll be exploring the post-apocalyptic world while dealing with the threats of this dangerous new world. Nacon Milan says that Terminator Survivors will have a complex story based on the first two films in the franchise as you slowly learn about Skynet and its new line of human hunting Terminators. These are still early days as an alternate branch of the Terminator timeline, and there'll be a completely original story to explore as you learn about the beginning of John Connor's resistance. Nacon Milan says you'll scavenge for items to help you survive and improve on your home base, and you can expect to meet a few familiar faces in your expeditions. As a first-person game, you can also expect to fight against fellow humans and machines in co-op or solo. Terminator Survivors is scheduled to launch in early access on Steam in October of 2024. This year marks the 40th anniversary of the franchise, and for something a little different, a Terminator real-time strategy game has just launched. Terminator Dark Fate Defiance follows the war between humanity and the machine armies as you command the Founders, Movement, and Legion factions in large-scale battles. So, what do you think of this new Terminator game that's taking place right after Terminator 2 Judgment Day?
Well, Terminator games altogether. Excuse me, sorry about that, guys. I'm just been that that's long gone because I have problems with my throat now. But yeah, with Terminator altogether, the games themselves, it hasn't been a critical success. Some games are hit and miss, like there's these running gun games on at the arcade on Terminator back like 10 years ago. I played that, and you know, with the Super Nintendo game Terminator altogether, that was not all that great, but it was okay to play. So it was one of those railgun shooters. Um, so it's I guess you could say it's gonna be another typical, not success, but it's gonna be like a typical run of the mill type of average game to go through with Terminator and all. But they proved it for the Xbox One, Xbox 3 series and all, PS4, PS5. Then obviously it should go well with its plan to make it an okay game to play. Like RoboCop, for example. Still, even though it's not the best movement of the RoboCop experience, it's still a good experience to play it on first person because obviously it's based on the movies that were successful in the 80s and 90s. So, and Terminator has been out for
Yeah,
what 1984 and 85. So, yeah.
there have been good games. I played a couple of them, not the good ones, unfortunately, because we are going back to retro Nintendo, Super Nintendo days.
Yeah.
But there was also I've also played like a little bit of Rise of the Machines on Xbox. There was also a demo I had. I forget what the name was, but like you could like rip street signs out of the ground and like terminate robots with them by jamming it like into their back. So Again, that was a demo. I can't remember what it was called. It was years ago. So these Terminator games, again, they've been, at least there have been good ones or somewhat good ones. Um, and I guess an open adventure, kind of like Fallout with, I guess, Terminators. Um, it sounds like a good idea. Um, it's just the Terminator storyline has been twisted and broken and were put back together just to be ripped apart again in a different place. It's like um, it's almost like you got to choose where you, if you're gonna make a Terminator game, you got to choose where in history that game's going to take place.
Oh yeah.
If it's going to be canon to the series.
It was okay the first three
Like I said,
Terminator. What's the movies aspect of it? The first three Terminator movies were good, and then after that, it's just went to weird territory. After that, kind of weird. I can't explain it, but you know.
well, I watched the fourth one. I think that was called Salvation.
Okay.
I saw it in theaters. I enjoyed it. And that was more of the resistance, because like the third movie, John Connor hadn't put a resistance yet. He just met the woman that was going to be his future wife, and they like when they were in that they were in that like bunker at the end of Terminator 3. Um, Everyone on radio's asking like, who's in charge? And then the woman that was with John grabs his hand, and he grabs the walkie-talkie and says that he's in charge of the resistance. So that was Terminator 3. That's where Terminator 3 left off, and then Terminator. I think Salvation was the next one, was where John Connor actually had a resistance. Like he was going over his mother's recordings from the events of the first movie before he was born, because she said, "If you don't send Kyle Reese back, I won't survive, and you won't be born."
Mm-hmm.
It's so I mean that to that point was fine, but the thing is, I didn't even know they made more Terminator movies after that, and it's just like then they started doing alternate timelines and changing the events of past movies, and it's just like it just got ridiculous to keep up with.
Yeah, Terminator Genesis was the fifth installment of the Terminator movies, and that was a reboot, or it's a soft reboot slash sequel of sorts. So that was good, okay to watch altogether as a standalone, but that's about it. And not as much part of the sequence with the main Moonlight movies and the video games altogether. So it's been all over the place.
And I think there was a sixth movie where like the T-1000 kills John Connor, like, and right after the events of Terminator 2.
Okay.
And the only reason I know about that movie is because Nostalgia Critic reviewed it.
Right.
So, but like that's why I'm saying, I think I can say the first four movies I enjoyed. I really never watched the rest of the movies after that.
Yeah, Dark Fate was the last movie was Dark Fate. That was horrible. I heard.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a new game coming out. It's coming. It's going to be up for early access in October on PC. We don't. I'm guessing it will be coming to console as well. If you're looking for a game where you have to survive in the Terminator universe, hopefully it's something like Mad Max was in the early life cycle of the Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be up for it. Ready to move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay. Next. Sleight of Hand is a Noir stealth action sim and deck builder inspired by Metal Gear Solid. Frame developer Joshua Boggs has revealed Sleight of Hand, a third-person stealth action sim and deck builder coming to Xbox Series, PC, and Game Pass next year. Developed by Riff Raff Games, a new studio helmed by Boggs, Sleight of Hand debuted during today's Xbox Partner Preview, showcasing the game's hard-boiled, occult noir leaning in the stealth genre. While today's reveal was strictly cinematic, Riff Raff says players will wield cursed cards to cast a smoke-based menagerie of magic while navigating around, patrolling ruffians by evaporating into smoke. Step into the gumshoes of Lady Luck, voiced by Debbie Mae West. Metal Gear Solid's Meryl Silverberg, a revered former occult detective, fated to return for one final job, taking down her former coven. A press release reads, "Her departure was less than amicable last time. She lost her left hand, too tired to fight fate any longer, and with more overdue bills than bucks to her name, Lady Luck strikes out to Steeple City with cursed deck in hand, ready to track down everyone from a past life." As an example of gameplay, the press release explains the following. Faced with a group of huddled up goons, even the odds by intertwining their fates with the Chainsmoker card. Now, any cards cast affect them all at once. Snuff them out with a lethal card, or choose an affliction to help Lady Luck steep right past. Silently take out enemies using powerful card and strafe combos, or stare combos. Inaccessible guard causing problems with the spotlight. Take him out by marking the position with a hex card, which tags any target within line of sight. Once hexed, other cards combo with this state, like Peekaboo, which teleports the player behind any hex target in view. While looking behind the unsuspecting goon, you don't need a card to know a silent takedown is the next play to get through. In Sleight of Hand, players can upgrade their deck and assemble hands for each highly replayable level built to encourage experimentation. You can stick to Subterfuge with the Glimpse card to see enemies behind walls and then blind them with the Ignorance card to slip by undetected. The Hand Cannon card allows you to take out patrolling guards with a single shot. Making this game has been a long-time dream of mine. Boggs, who is CEO of Riff Raff and director of Sleight of Hand, writes in the press release, "It combines my love of Kojima's brilliant pioneering work in tactical espionage action with Metal Gear Solid, and my obsessive desire to push the envelope in making new gameplay experiences. In typical me fashion, as the team here would say, I've sought to turn the genre on its head with a healthy dose of innovative card play. It's been a hard road. Honestly, the hardest project I've worked on, but I'm so honored to walk side by side with this team as we push the stealth action genre in a brand new direction." Sleight of Hand hits Xbox Series PC via Steam and Game Pass sometime in 2025. For more, read about Boggs' acclaimed game Frame. Um, okay, and there's no comments. So, are you excited about Sleight of Hand?
It's a shooter game, right? Or stealth?
No, it's a stealth. It's a stealth game with cards.
Hmm.
The Let me explain that. A stealth game, but you use cards that give you different abilities.
I see. So it kind of sounds like Yu-Gi-Oh meets Metal Gear Solid.
Uh, Kind of, because like they said, you could you could use a hex card or against the enemy, and then you could use the peekaboo card, which would teleport you behind that enemy that's in your line of sight. So,
Hmm. Okay. It's cards solely, huh?
huh?
It's using cards solely, nothing else.
No, it's going to be a video game. The
I know.
cards are going to be in game.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's kind of like exchanging cards, like similar to Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Or am I right about that point at least?
Uh, I don't know, because Yu-Gi-Oh also had actual card games, which is why I'm not, which I don't want to say yes or no. It's definitely going to be a game. Like they said, it's coming out on Xbox Series, PC, and Game Pass. But I don't think you're actually going to be using cards. I think all the cards are going to be digital in game.
Of course, I understand that. I'm just saying, like, it's just saying, like, say it's gonna be in game mainly for card play, not actual shooting or stealth.
Not shooting, but stealth maybe. And they said the main character is going to be voiced by the same woman who voiced Meryl in Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, those some good times with Metal Gear Solid, the first one. Opened up a lot of
Yeah,
opened up a lot of opportunities for Hideo Kojima to expand the universe of Metal Gear and all. Unfortunately, he took that big risk with Metal Gear Solid 2, with putting Raiden in most of the time. and that was risky, but
Yeah,
it was still worth the play. You know.
I'm surprised. I wish they had kind of done like a Metal Gear Solid 2.5. Uh, basically just redo the plant, but with like what Snake went through, and have him meet up with Raiden when Raiden met up with him. The whole basically the whole venture from like Snake's point of view.
Hmm.
So like you could have. That's what they should have done after the original Metal Gear Solid 2.
They shut that out in Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, which is supposed to be like an add-on features of Metal Gear Solid game. And for some reason, they never really thought about doing that. You know, it's with Metal Gear put Solid Snake in that perspective in that plant you mentioned. So yeah, kind of
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, and then Metal Gear Solid 3 was Big Boss. Metal Gear Solid 4 was Snake's basically swan song.
Yeah, he was an old Snake was
Uh,
old in Metal Gear Solid 4.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I didn't play
I
finish
like
that
it.
game yet. I will admit that.
Well, I like it. He's talking to Naomi, and Snake goes, "The truth, Naomi. How long will my body hold out?" And Naomi goes, "Your entire body is beginning to decay. The average man wouldn't be standing now."
Wow. And they always said it in Metal Gear Solid 1 with Snake at the end of the game saying, "Live, Snake. That's all you gotta do."
That's the best I can tell you. Live. Well, he had 9 years from the events of the first Metal Gear Solid, so it's not like he didn't have a chance.
Oh yeah. And Aobi kind of turned towards the dark side of things with Liquid Snake and all.
Not well. She was being forced to, so because like when she evaluated Snake in the beginning of Metal Gear Solid 4, like she saw the effects Fox Die had on his body, and she almost had to stop herself uh, from bursting into tears because she was so shocked at how rapidly Snake had aged since the events of Metal Gear Solid 1.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so anyway, back to sleight of hand. It's gonna be a strategy game. It seems like strategy slash stealth. Um, so yeah, that's basically all we know about it. Ready to move on?
Yeah, we can move on.
All right. Next, body duplicating sci-fi adventure The Alters gets first gameplay trailer. The Alters is a fascinating new game from survival game from 11-bit studios, makers of Frostpunk and This War of Mine. First revealed last October, the game stars a man named Jan, shipwrecked on a desolate planet with no one to rely on but himself. And by himself, I mean multiple versions of himself. Jan is a trainer who crash land is no, Jan is a miner, excuse me, who crash lands on a hostile planet closely orbiting a star, resulting in deadly hot sunrises. His only method of survival is a high-tech mobile base that requires multiple people with various skills to operate. Thankfully, he harnesses a resource called Rapidium that allows him to create several copies of himself, each their own sentient being with independent specialties and personalities reflecting the what if scenarios of Jan's life. These copies, or alters, also have their own ambitions and fears, which will lead to conflict as you try to work together to survive and hopefully escape. The Alters is launching sometime this year for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Today's Xbox partner preview also revealed it's coming to Game Pass for console and PC. There is one comment, so let me if this. Oh, here it is. Okay, looks really interesting, but probably not a game for me. I'm not much for resource-based management and crafting games. Uh, is that the kind of game that you would like to play? Basically, where you have to find resources and find stuff while like operating your base, or
I'm more of like a first person shooter type of gamer. I've been like that for the last
okay.
since like Halo 3 and all since 2007 2008. Prior to that, I was playing a
So
lot
you
of
don't.
prior to that, I played a lot of Mario and Mortal Kombat. I will admit that. So
So this isn't something that you think would interest you.
I'll play it, see how it is. You know,
We
unfortunately,
might have to do it. it would have to be done through Game Pass if it's available via the cloud because it's not coming out for Xbox One.
Okay.
But yeah, I gotta say, you know, it's kind of interesting. I've never played these games that much, but I have dabbled in them here or there over the decades I played games. Um, so I mean, it's gonna be, and like they said, everyone's gonna have their own. Even though everyone's a copy of everyone else, it's gonna be they're all each going to have their own independent abilities and things that they can do, things that they excel in that other people won't. So it's not like you're playing with the same person times however many. Um, they're all going to have different things that they excel at.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it sounds interesting. That's really all I could say. You know, I guess we'll find out as the game comes out. I'm kind of interested though.
Oh yeah.
Anything else you want to add, or ready to move on?
That's all I gotta say for the time matter.
Okay. Next, Xbox Game Pass dropping these 3 games soon. It's not goodbye, but more see you later. Microsoft will remove 3 more games from Xbox Game Pass later this month. This is on March 4th. This article came out March 4th. The trio of titles include a beloved RPG developed with Studio Ghibli, a snowboarding game, and a first-person shooter that involves searching derelict spaceships. Spotted by Wario64 and X, formerly known as Twitter, Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, is probably the biggest title leaving Game Pass on March 16th. The remastered RPG from Level 5 originally arrived on the subscription service in 2022 when it first launched on Xbox One and Xbox Series. The other 2 games are Shredders and Hard Space Shipbreaker. The former is a snowboarding game inspired by the AMP series from the 2000s. Meanwhile, the latter sees you salvaging spaceships and assist in paying off your debt. Hard Space Shipbreaker comes from developer Blackbird Interactive, also known for its work on Minecraft Legends and the upcoming title Homeworld 3. GameSpot confirmed on the Xbox Game Pass app that all 3 games will indeed be taken down from the service March 16th. Last week, Microsoft pulled Madden NFL 22 and Soul Hackers 2 from Game Pass. However, the service also added a good collection of titles at the end of February. For instance, Tales of Arise came to Game Pass on February 20th, while Man-Eater arrived on February 27th. They're not talking about an ex-girlfriend of mine when they say Man-Eater. So there is a comment. Taylor Space says, dropping it makes it sound like they are adding games. Maybe say losing or getting rid of would be better. Okay, so any of these games, I'll read them again. Shredders, Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, or Hard Space Shipbreaker. Did you play any of these games on Game Pass?
I ain't even heard of them at all, to be honest with you. That's kind of weird.
Wow, I heard of 2 of them. I played Wrath of the White Witch. So what happened is the one I played, and I only played it for a half hour. Again, it's one of the hundreds of games I meant to get back to later and just never did before I canceled my Game Pass subscription. What that game was basically you sneak out with your friend in the middle of the night, and you go I forgot like if they were playing like on the riverbank or trying something they created to float in the water. But basically, it doesn't work, and your character falls in the water. Your mother, who was supposed to be at work, came home early, and when she found out that you weren't at home, she goes searching for you. So she finds you at the riverbank, basically jumps in, saves you, pulls you to shore, and then she dies right then and there from a heart attack because she had a weak heart.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think your friend your friend's parents like adopt you and offer to take care of you, and then like something supernatural or something that's not supposed to be living. Uh, Introduces your character to the adventure. That's about as far as I got and how much I played. Shredders felt like more like an SSX trick or something like that game. It's not a game I really cared about playing a second time, and the other game I haven't played at all. So
Okay.
uh, if you
Interesting.
like RPG games and stories or story-based games, Nino Kuni: Wrath of the White Witch, that's definitely something you should try. Um, the other Shredders, I really can't vouch for myself, and the other game I didn't play either.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah. Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
We can move on.
All right. Capcom's Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess gets first extended gameplay showcase. About 8 months ago, Capcom and Microsoft revealed Komitsu Gamut Path of the Goddess in somewhat vague terms. It is an action game based in and inspired by historical Japan, but that was about all we know. Today, Capcom showed a lot more gameplay and offered some additional insight into the single player game. Plus, it detailed more exactly what the game is on its Xbox Wire page. This action is defined as dancing swords, but you will also be making decisions about what villagers you will take with you on your journey, leading to some strategic elements. You will apparently be making preparations for battle during that day to protect your maiden and the village before the night, which is when battle takes place. Capcom and Microsoft do not have a release date for the game yet, but it is apparently coming this year and will be included with Game Pass subscriptions. So there's a couple comments. Kal-El goes, not what I was expecting. I was expecting, but I'll try it out on Game Pass. And Jason King says, cool. So does Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess sound like something you would be interested in?
It's a Capcom, so yeah, why not? I mean, Capcom has made some good
Yeah.
games over the last 40, 50 years almost. From Resident Evil to Street Fighter and all. So it sounds like a new IP as well, right? Right,
Yeah.
things. Yeah, let's see what happens
Yeah.
in the next few months.
Yeah. Basically, they say you prepare during the day to fight the real battle at night. So
That's,
it's
that's
probably it's probably going to be something like Assassin's Creed Revelations, like when they had the building where the segment where like you could like place like soldiers on the roof or like stronger weapons on the ground. It's I'm assuming it's going to be something like that. But yeah, basically you serve your maiden by day and then you protect her at night.
okay.
Anything else to add or ready to move on?
Let's move on, please.
Okay. Supernatural action game Unknown 9 Awakening reemerges with first gameplay trailer and release window. Unknown 9 Awakening has been silent since its reveal at Gamescom 2020, but today's Xbox partner preview saw it reemerge with its first gameplay trailer and release window. The game is set within popular sci-fi media franchise as a third-person adventure starring Haruna, played by The Witcher's Anya Kalatra, a woman gifted with mysterious abilities. The game's official website has the following synopsis. You play as Haruna, a fierce truth seeker, what we call a quester, with a unique connection to another dimension known as the Fold. This other plane of existence contains powerful energy and long-lost knowledge that, if brought to light, could usher us into a wondrous era of advancement. However, if this forgotten wisdom falls into the wrong hands, it could lead to our inevitable demise. Determined to avenge the wrong of her past, Haruna's imminent journey will turn out to involve far more than just retribution. Humanity's fate is at risk, and her ties to the Fold may be the key to securing our continued existence. This quest will have you uncover the long-lost secrets of our collective past. You'll also learn to tap into the Ford's energy, gifting you incredible skills known as Umbric abilities that allow you to take down anyone who stands in your way. But beware of the Ascendants, a dangerous offshoot of a secret society known as the Leap Year Society. This faction claims to want to use the fold for the betterment of humankind, but don't be fooled. Even the best of intentions can lead to catastrophe. That includes, from what we can tell, sucking people's souls out of their bodies and telepathically blasting enemies through destructible environments. Verona can also pull enemies, control their minds, and more. The game also features parkour-style platforming across an Indian city. Unknown 9 is coming this summer to PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. There are comments. Amateur goes, first time hearing about this game, wish them luck, hope it's not a flop. Stuart Wilson goes, if someone told me this was the next Assassin's Creed, I would have believed them. Jason King goes, doesn't look too bad. What do you think of Unknown 9 Awakening?
Unfortunately, I didn't see the trailers yet, and I didn't see any.
Let me. They do have the announcement trailer. I can play that if you want.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Won't you at least tell me what we're doing here?
Hold on, let me start it from the beginning.
Yeah, sure.
Tell me what we're doing here. Won't you at least tell me what we're doing here?
Yeah, sure.
All I know is that it's serious. Won't you at least tell me what we're doing
It's
here?
more than serious, Luna.
All I know is that it's serious.
It is dangerous.
It's more than serious, Luna. It is dangerous.
In my experience, the greatest harm often comes from the best intentions. The cycle is starting again. How many
In my
more times must we
experience, the
endure
greatest
the
harm
vanity
comes
of
from
the
the best
nine?
intentions.
The cycle is starting again.
When there
How many
isn't a
more
path to
times
be
must
found,
we endure the vanity of the nine?
When there isn't a path to be found, make one.
You've been here before, countless times, and so shall you be here again. In fact, you're here right now.
You've been here before, countless times, and so shall you be here again. In fact, you're here right now.
Interesting.
It definitely looks like Assassin's Creed with a female lead, I have to say.
Yeah, make sure the ghost stuff. You know, you transport your body or somehow sway to other bodies as well. That's pretty cool, right there.
Yep.
Because you don't see that in Assassin's Creed.
No.
Since they upped the ante
I was-
with the Assassin's Creed gameplay at first with this female lead.
I don't know. I mean, you didn't see it in the original. I'm trying to think. Maybe Revelation. Not really Revelations.
Not the newest.
Yeah, you're right. None of the Assassin's Creed games, I think, had anything close to that.
Oh yeah.
The closest thing I could think of was the cutscenes in Revelations where Desmond is on the beach with that person who wants to escape, like that escape purgatory, basically.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about, or you haven't played Revelations?
Well, when it comes to any Assassin's Creed, it says Black Flag. To what I'm aware, of, there's this company called themselves in the background called Astiago or some shit like that, where it's like the game of the in the game out of the game in a sense, because you play as somehow some way you are a simulation in Assassin's Creed Black Flag, right? So
No, most of them actually.
what's that?
Most of them actually.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like the movie as well as Assassin's Creed as well. If you see that in theaters, kind of like that where it puts you on, ties you to a machine, you act all acrobatic and shit like that, and these holograms and shit. You know, I've got the guy's name to star in that movie, but it was all right to watch. It was watchable. So.
Well, in Revelations, the way it starts, Revelations was for the 360. I'm not sure chronologically, if it was the fourth game out, the fifth game out, sixth game out. etc. But in Revelations, Desmond was basically almost dead. He was on life support, being kept alive by the Animus.
Yeah.
And Desmond was basically trying. Desmond basically had to live through the memories if he wanted to escape the Animus.
Oh. Okay.
And he kept ending up on this purgatory beach like where someone else who's suffered the same fate as Desmond, he kept running into. I don't know how it ends, because I've never gotten to the end yet. But that guy says like he had his chance. Like he wants Desmond. He wants to be able to go with Desmond, and Desmond won't let him. And the guy's like, "Yeah, I had my chance." So it's.
Hey, James, can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. We had technical difficulties for a few minutes.
Yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, that's like the most, I guess, paranormal thing in Assassin's Creed is when the person Desmond meets up with on that beach. But like I said, when I was saying Assassin's Creed, you saw like the woman going from like one roof to the other. She was walking like a tightrope, or I guess a clothesline of some kind. That's right out of Assassin's Creed. As a matter of fact, name one Assassin's Creed game that doesn't have you transporting across the roof at some time.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this game definitely looks interesting. I would definitely love to try it out. It does come out for older hardware, so if you're like us with just a PS4 or Xbox One, you won't be kept from trying it out. So there's definitely that. Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
We can move on. I cannot wait for the new trailers coming out in the next few months. If it's going to come out this year, see what happens for now.
Okay, yeah, I already X'd out of that article, so.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But we'll definitely hear more about it as work gets done. Next, Crash Bandicoot 4 Spyro Reignited Trilogy dev Toys for Bob is splitting from Activision. Toys for Bob, the studio behind games like Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, Spyro Reignited Trilogy, and Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time, has announced it is splitting from its owner Activision Blizzard to go independent. It is also exploring a partnership with Microsoft. Toys for Bob announced this in a statement released today, which explains why now is the time to take the studio and our future games to the next level. Here's Toys for Bob's statement in full. We're thrilled to announce that Toys for Bob is spinning off as an independent game developer studio. Over the years, we've inspired love, joy, and laughter for the inner child in all gamers. We pioneered new IP and hardware technologies in Skylanders. We raised the bar for best-in-class remasters in Spyro Reignited Trilogy. We've taken Crash Bandicoot to innovative, critically acclaimed new heights. With the same enthusiasm and passion, we believe that now is the time to take the studio and our future games to the next level. This opportunity allows us to return our roots of being a small and nimble studio. To make this news even more exciting, we're exploring a possible partnership between our new studio and Microsoft. And while we're in the early days of developing our next new game and ways away from making any announcements, our team is excited to develop new stories, new characters, and new gameplay experiences. Our friends at Activision and Microsoft have been extremely supportive of our new direction, and we're confident that we will continue to work closely together as part of our future. So keep your horns and your eyes out for more news. Thank you to our community of players for always supporting us through our journey. We can't wait to share updates on our new adventure as an indie studio. Talk to you soon. Toys for Bob did not disclose a price, if there is one, associated with its split from Activision Blizzard, which arrives just a few months after Microsoft purchased the company for a colossal $69 billion. Toys for Bob joins another studio leaving the hands of its owner today. With a $500 million deal, Embracer Group has sold Saber Interactive to a group of private investors, as reported by Bloomberg. Kotaku is also reporting today that Gearbox, the makers of the Borderlands series, is looking to break away from Embracer Groups as well. It says, what kind of games do you hope Toys for Bob makes first? Let's see if there's any comments. There's some. MNG86 goes, I opened this article to praise them for leaving a company full of sexual predators and then was immediately disappointed by the decision to pursue a partnership with Microsoft. The worst, most anti-consumer company in gaming, that's subjective, who knowingly protected said sexual predators during the acquisition. How do you make such a smart career decision only to throw yourself back into the frying pan like a bunch of morons? Harley Race's Ghost goes, it's business and Microsoft would be a quick immediate buck. The heads will get rich, the studio will close, and some devs will become big names in the industry. Rinse and repeat since the Pong days. Earthbound X goes, what makes you feel Microsoft is more anti-consumer than, say, Nintendo or Sony? What makes them the worst? Ricky Triple H goes, Sony, here's your chance to gain your old IPs back. Not that they'd care since they sold them off in the first place. I would have, however, like to see these IPs go to a better home than Xbox. By the way, this is coming from someone who mostly plays on Xbox. Microsoft has never been big on supporting these types of games, which is why we haven't seen a new Banjo, Conquer, or Blinks, the Time Sweeper, from them. And it says, and the last one, Diazman goes, Saber is making Space Marine 2. I hope this doesn't affect it. Game was already delayed. Who are these investors? They paid $500 million from what I read. So, what do you think are Toys from Bob behind the Crash Bandicoot trilogy, the Crash Bandicoot sequel, and the Spyro trilogy, basically becoming its own studio?
It's pretty interesting right there. After the last 25 years of Spyro and Crash been around, it's they're finally making some strides now in their company, even if it is for like toy makers. At least that for
yeah. Well, the company name is Toys for Bob, but like I said, they're behind, the Spyro Reignited trilogy, the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy, Crash Bandicoot 4. So, they got some big titles, but like they said, they're going to go out on their own as an independent studio.
Yeah, especially after Crash Bandicoot 4 and all. I hear good things about Crash Bandicoot 4. I'll put it as microtransactions, whatever goes on in that game, but
of course.
And also Crash Bandicoot, what's the refueled, the remaster version of Crash Team Racing. So it's like, so it's kind of like they had to make somebody somehow with microtransactions. I got it in the feeling, so it's fine. Because not that many people play in Crash Bandicoot 4, not Crash Bandicoot 4, but reignited or refueled because it's only for nostalgia for a few 30-year-olds, so that's about it. They move on to the next game or to go back to their jobs, So it's kind of like, I'm like that too, where it's like I played it for nostalgia for the first year, and by the time everyone stopped playing it, I was like, God damn it! It was like not even 2 years after the fact. It was just like because people were like playing that at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning at one point on these games, like refueled and all. Then all of a sudden, next year, they just you don't see them anymore. Like you're at 8, 9, 10 o'clock on a Friday night, Saturday night, So.
Okay, but since this is an independent studio, do you have any ideas, like any IPs you would like to see them bring back or try to bring back?
Wonder was also behind that medieval game that was popular back in the 90s. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know who. I don't know if that. Let me see who owns that.
Yeah, Medieval. It's called Medieval. They had a remastered of it 4 or 5 years
Yeah, on
ago.
PS4. Yeah.
I always want to get a copy of that game too, of the remastered edition, even though they censored
I
some things.
probably would not. I would. I mean, I don't know if. From what I know, let's see.
Because Medieval, if I pronounce it correctly,
It's a Medieval is a trademark of Sony Interactive, so Sony owns it.
oh okay, all right, never mind.
Yeah, let's see if I could find franchises.
You know what's interesting about Sony that they also cut back on certain workers too. I think we were talking about this last podcast, right?
Yep, and I think we're gonna be okay. So basically, it doesn't really. They don't have that many. It was founded in 1989. It was a subsidiary of Crystal Dynamics till 2000, and then a subsidiary of Activision till 24. It says Toys for Bob is known for creating Star Control and the Skylanders franchise, as well as for working on the Crash Bandicoot and Spyro franchises.
Okay.
Yeah, so I really can't say anything I would like. Although I would say if you do have a PlayStation or a PlayStation 2 that's working, get the original Medieval because they remade the game for PSP, but that PSP port cut out some of the levels in Medieval. I don't know if all the levels were kept intact in the PS4 version.
Oh yeah, yeah. It has to be
So
expensive as hell to get the original, get a copy of for PS1.
I don't think so.
That costs about at least
Let me.
$100 to get for brand new.
Well, if you're buying it brand new, you're buying a PlayStation original game.
Of course, yeah.
I
That's
mean,
just
I'd be fine with the loose disc if that's all I could afford.
oh yeah.
Because most of my games are loose disc anyway, especially if I buy them secondhand. Yeah, Medieval, even brand new, it's not that expensive. According to price charting, it's $25 loose. It's $38 complete in box, and uh, okay, $99 brand new.
I know it's right about that.
Well, it's like I said, it's brand new, so that's it's a game that's like from the late '90s.
Oh yeah.
I would expect it to go for that. Actually, I was expecting it to be more brand new, but like I said, you could probably get it for under $40 complete. That's not bad.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Um, yeah, so we'll keep an ear out what happens with toys for Bob. Ready to move on?
Yeah, ready to move on.
All right. Next, Helldivers 2 latest patch nerfs the best loadouts. In today's daily fix, Helldivers around the world will have to come up with new meta loadouts now that developer Arrowhead has nerfed some of the weapons and hold on. The article changed to something else right while I was in the middle of reading it.
Oh, we're not up to the part of Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah. Oh, really?
You gave me a new list the other day.
Yeah, Nintendo Switch 2 reportedly delayed. Okay. Okay. Um, I, hold on. Is Helldivers 2 even on the list?
I doubt it. I didn't see it yet.
Okay, so basically this article is changing. Um, it's got different articles, and that's since since I have the ones on deck in order. I was just reading what was there. All right. Nintendo Switch 2 won't launch until March 2025 at the earliest, according to a new report. Plus, the developer of Helldivers 2 has declared the weekend a success, insisting the game servers handled all players without problem, and you'll soon be able to play Doom on a robotic lawnmower. Um, so that's basically it. There are comments though. Master C goes, I'm happy to wait for the 10th generation of gaming to start since Nintendo still has so much life in Gen 9. D-Bath to Sony, Death to Sony goes, I'll be right on it. Nintendo wheeled me in with playing as Thor in Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Don't think much of it. Probably don't think much of it. Probably sell it after I'm done. Stick with Xbox One Game Pass. Metroid Prime Remastered, gorgeous. Metroid Dread, strategy games. I'm here to stay. Only complaint: um, Nintendo has to get with these third-party developers about bigger font on the text on ports. Text-heavy games like strategy will have teeny tiny font. There's a magnifier function, no biggie, but Switch 2 is fix the small font. And Blackjack Matt goes, scalpers really would say it's just cheaper to produce if they hold off longer. So what do you think of the Nintendo Switch 2 coming out sometime next year at the earliest? Do you think it's too early? Do you think it's about time?
We're right on time because Nintendo Switch Bros. Is 2017 of March, if not February. Last time I checked. So it's been about 6 years, and now it's time for it to we go for the new generation of gaming of sorts. The Nintendo Switch 2
Are
is
you
definitely gonna have some competition though because of the Steam Deck that's been out for a few months now. So by the time the
right?
Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, You're gonna have to fight that competition with the Steam Deck, because Steam Deck is compatible with they can Windows, Linux. You can modify, you can copy and paste such certain games onto the Steam Deck that you don't have to have a client of Steam. So it's kind of like it's whatever on the user's part. Because obviously the average gamer should be knowledgeable enough how to use Steam Deck by now. So of course, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I gotta say, if it's, I just wonder if the Switch 2 is going to be more powerful. Because the way I look at it, it's kind of like if it's not going to be any more powerful than the original Switch, what's the point?
Oh yeah.
So I'm just wondering that. So yeah. So I mean, but I mean, I don't plan on getting a Switch anytime soon. Although there are a lot of games, well, a few games I like to play, but um, yeah. So I mean, but the Switch 2 is not coming out for another year at least.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's not like it's not like you have to worry about being ready to buy a Switch 2 if you were thinking of getting one. It's not going to be here for at least another 12 months.
Definitely.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, we can move on.
All right. Next,
It's gonna be a big one for me.
Tekken 8 opens controversial premium in-game shop with Unikio branded items. Cashback rate. The 2 million selling Tekken 8 has opened its premium in-game shop, sparking a vociferous debate within the fighting games community. The Tekken shop, which launches with Unikio branded items, lets you buy customization such as legacy character costumes and avatar skins of specific characters. Publisher Bandai Namco has said new content will be added to the shop monthly. The Tekken shop includes both free and paid items, and it's the paid items that are ruffling feathers. Paid items are bought with Tekken coins, a virtual currency paid for with real-world money spent in each platform's store. Okay. The problem with Tekken's 8 shop is that it sells the virtual currency in denominations that invariably leave players with some left over. The Tekken shop sells 400 Tekken coin character skins, but you can't buy 400 Tekken coins only. You have to first buy a bundle of 500 Tekken coins that cost $4.99, which leaves you with 100 Tekken coins after forking out for the skin. Tekken 8, which is a full-price $70 video game, is not alone in this virtual currency bundle practice, with the likes of Blizzard and EA employing it for Diablo 4 and Ultimate Team microtransactions. Tekken 8 also engages in price anchoring, a promo strategy that suggests higher cost options are a better value because they are set against lower cost options. In the game, 500 Tekken coins cost $4.99, which suggests 1,000 Tekken coins would cost $9.99. But you get 1,050 Tekken coins for $9.99 instead. The pricier the bundle, the better the deal. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the core Tekken 8 fanbase has reacted negatively to the launch of the Tekken shop. So where are the $4 costumes, Namco, ex-Redditor Turbo Nexus? I ain't seeing them. I see $4 costume and $1 donation to you. This week, Tekken development chief Katsuri Harada tweeted to say the rising cost of development has necessitated the inclusion of microtransactions in modern video games, insisting current development costs are more than double or nearly triple the cost of Tekken 7. In the past, there weren't so many specs and it wasn't online, Harada said. Plus, they didn't have such high resolution and high definition. Now, so many people want the game to run and be supported for a long time. It costs money to continually update the game for that reason. Can't they just go to downloadable content instead?
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, Bandai Namco announced new measures designed to combat cheating in Tekken 8's ranked match mode. High-ranking players who were reported multiple times and found to have been cheating were removed from the leaderboard and their ranks have been reset to beginner, Bandai Namco said. So let's see if there's comments.
Oh, we can play comments, all right.
Okay, so Skillip of Alvo goes, okay, I'll talk about the pricing issue in a minute, but can we stop suggesting that we're obliged to buy these things? After all, they're only as valuable as you perceive them to be. If it only adds aesthetic style to your game and does nothing to enhance your abilities, you can just opt out. I don't see that you're obligated to buy anything to stay competitive. Um, of Of course, there is the issue with the currency purchase leaving you with extra coins, though not enough to buy anything with. But again, self control, right? Spicy Michael goes, why do you feel that aesthetic style could be a pricey add on? Being able to change costume and stuff was a core feature for games long before microtransactions were even possible. There's plenty of room for justifiable complaint, even at stop at competitive advantage, and your jibes, also self control, are obnoxiously condescending. Monty Circus goes, if I ever made a game, it would have an in-game store where you could pay real-world money a dance for a dunce cap that your character could wear. People would buy it and wear it. I have no idea why. Game Boy 0217 goes, I just platinumed the game, which took 20 hours. I really enjoyed it. It was refreshing to play a fighting game that has good user reviews. Too bad those are likely to go down and become negative because of this new shop, but it was fun while it lasted. So, what do you think of this Tekken 8 premium shop? Do you think the developer has a point, or
Okay, I'm cracking my hands right now, and we're gonna go into this thing very hard and go well and short, if possible. So basically, Tekken 8 is a new blow to its microtransactions. Unfortunately, though, it's good that it's made for like cosmetics and costumes and skins and such and such. So it's no big deal at first, but if it involves like you get upper hand in the game, whatever, then I don't know what to say about that. So. Unfortunately, though, it looks like things not like that. So it's just like I said, it's cosmetics, it's like suits and masks and caps and stuff like that, and also in conjunction with a company, Unico, Uniqlo, whatever you want to call that branded item, because it's a clothing company. Last time I checked, or it was branded and stuff like that. So people will buy that in real life of those type of clothing, of its brand, all of its logo. It's like that with clothing companies locally where I come from called Jimmy Jazz. That's a local urban related type of branding company within my neighborhood or not too far from me by bus ride. So those companies are still around in in those predominantly African American communities, so, and that's fine. I don't mind it because it has like Rockaware, it has Apple Bottom, it has you know a Sean Johns, you name it. So this company with Tekken 8 though is trying to encourage people to buy more of their clothing, more of their brands, and off the Tekken 8 uh, program or whatever you want to call it. Because Tekken 8, I wish they can stick with the normal system like they did back in Tekken 5, where you accumulate points and dollars and stuff like that to buy these cosmetics, instead of purchasing them through with coins and all, with real money. But they gotta make some money somehow, some way by the sound of things. So it's like I understand the feeling the company has to make some money, but can it just be like through DLCs with the characters and all, or like season 1 through season 4 or season 5, whatever. They can do that. They've been doing that since Tekken 5, not second time, Tekken 6, 7 maybe. So
yeah, that's the point I was going to make. I mean, why is it where you have to exchange real money for Tekken currency, and then the Tekken currency you always have something left over that you obviously can't switch back into real money. So it is kind of a scam in that way. I mean, and if they wanted to make like extra outfits or extra accessories or anything, why can't they just get a whole bunch of it together and, like you said, make it a DLC pack, season 1, season 2, give people the chance to buy it, individual items as well. But the thing is, what people are really upset about is saying, like the guy said, you buy 400 or 500 Tekken coin, you buy 500 Tekken coins, you use 400 for one outfit, and then you got 100 Tekken coins, and nothing is that cheap in the shop.
oh yeah,
But you can't get like your dollar back for those 100 Tekken coins, so you're basically stuck. Or if you're gonna buy anything else, you're still gonna have to add up more, pay even more in microtransactions, and that's what people are upset with. I mean, all these people say, well, games are so much more expensive to make. Okay, but if you're gonna have a game that's supposed to last for years, why can't you have a season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4 DLC packs that are new outfits or new game modes or whatever? and basically make extra money that way. People are just upset that they're basically being charged $5 for something that has a price tag of $4.
Mm-hmm.
If they could buy the outfit for $4, no questions asked, right off their credit card or debit card or whatever, they'd be fine with it. They just don't like having to do a currency exchange where they have to pay, where they can't get that currency back in its original form once they authorize the currency exchange. So, I mean, and to say that, yes, obviously game costs have risen, but like I said, there's nothing to stop them from going the DLC route because, like I said, get a whole bunch, all new outfits for every character as a set, or you can buy them individually. But if you buy more than like half the outfits, then your cost is going to be higher than if you just bought you might as well have just bought the whole set you should have just bought the whole season pack. They could do that.
Well, they're not going to do it.
They're probably not going to do that.
They snared the younger Tekken players, the ones who just started playing Tekken for the first time, and the ones who started playing video games altogether for the last 5 years now. So they've been ensnared by the microtransaction system, saying that, oh, it's normal, so I'm going to still buy my money with this shit no matter what, Because I see older players, we're in the minority now. The newer kids taking over the gaming atmosphere, and they're like, oh yeah, it's normal to have microtransactions beyond belief and spending on brand name items in order to get better at the game or to feel good playing the game, whatever. So, and at the same time, making them buy clothes at the store similar to what's seen in Tekken 8, whatever. And that's what I'm hearing too. So, it's fine at first.
Yeah,
they try to make some
microtransactions up the ass is normal.
And Jim Sterling, if I can mention Jim Sterling, I know, well, not Jim Sterling anymore, it's Stephanie Sterling. In short, he transitioned. But anyway, the point is that Stephanie Sterling is saying that, oh, it's the kids now. This is an interpretation we've been saying for months now, like years, saying that the young crowd has been ensnared and gobbled up by the microtransaction system, and they're going to see it as a normal phase or a normal way of gaming. So it sucks, it's over for us older gamers for the time being,
Yes, that's why I'll be sticking to games like Tekken 3, Tekken 4, and Tekken Tag Tournament.
Oh, you still got the Tekken 4 game I gave you the other 20 years ago?
No, I have to get it again.
Oh, okay, yeah, guys.
I'm saying if I ever want to play Tekken, I'll be sticking to like the Tekken Tag Tournament games and Tekken 3 and Tekken 4.
Okay, yeah. And Tekken 5. Tekken 5 is not that bad to play.
No, I played Tekken 5.
I mean, yes, the story is like, it's funny with Jinpachi and Heihachi, Jin, and Kazuya in that scene with the missile and all that they're tied up together and shit. It was fucking funny as like, damn, the family hates each other that badly. God damn.
I reviewed Tekken 5. I hated it. I hated the Devil Jin mode because you couldn't use any of Jin's special powers unless you were willing to lose health. They docked you in health if you wanted to use any of his special powers. It's like, this is the replacement for Tekken Force mode, because I really like Tekken Force in Tekken 3 and Tekken 4.
Yeah, I missed Tekken Force mode.
So like Devil Jin was the closest thing you had to at Tekken 5. You can't use any of Devil Jin's powers, or else you're gonna lose health. And also, I lost to Jinpachi on easy. Like, I lost perfectly.
Yeah.
I couldn't get one hit on him.
Yeah, normal mode is a bitch, but easy should be it's all right here and there.
Yeah, I'm just saying the difficulty was a little unbalanced if you can't even get a hit on the boss on easy.
He's all powerful Jinpachi, the great grandfather of Jin and all, so he's very powerful.
Well, coming from someone who's played Tekken, I played all the original games. I played Tekken 1 through 6, and I played the 2 Tekken Tag Tournament games. I played Tekken on Game Boy Advance, so 7 and 8 are the only ones I haven't played. Stick with Tekken 3, Tekken 4, and Tekken Tag Tournament 1 and 2 is my recommendation.
Okay, I played Tekken 7. And played a good deal of Tekken 7. It's good to have the rage art mode they put in that system of gaming for Tekken, but it's the right timing though to use that system. So, other than that, I would just say if you want to save some money, just stick with like playing Tekken 5. In my opinion, that is of course Tekken 5, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, and maybe Tekken 6 for the sake of like I just said about Alyssa Piskanovich with her game mode of play with Laos.
Well, the thing is, I do have Tekken 6 digitally from Games with Gold. I tried to get into the story, and I was basically just so bored I was falling asleep while playing it. So
It's bare bones fun. That's about it. It's already
and the only thing I like about Tekken 5 is that you can play the original 3 Tekkens on the Tekken 5.
Yeah, definitely. But the problem though, you can't save. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, like I said, if you want my opinion, 3, 4, and 2 Tekken Tag Tournament games, or any of the remakes of the Tekken Tag Tournament games. I know the first Tekken Tag Tournament was Tekken Hybrid, but it had all the characters unlocked from the beginning. Play those, or if you take Dr. Games 101's advice, Tekken 5 and maybe Tekken 7.
Yeah.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, you can move on.
All right. Next. PlayStation laying off 900 across Insomniac, Naughty Dog, Gorilla, and more, closing London studio. Sony Interactive Entertainment has announced layoffs at various PlayStation first-party studios, including Insomniac Games, which made Marvel Spider-Man, Naughty Dog, which is responsible for Last of Us Part 2, Guerrilla Games, which made Horizon Forbidden West, and Firesprite. It is also closing London studio, the team behind PlayStation VR's Blood and Truth and VR Worlds. In a statement released by leader PlayStation Studios Herman Hulst, he seems to cite overgrowth as the reason for the layoffs. PlayStation technology, creative, and support teams are also affected by these layoffs, according to Hulst. He writes, "These are in addition to some smaller reductions in other teams across PlayStation Studios. These layoffs will result in an 8% reduction of staff, or around 900 people losing their jobs. Our goal at PlayStation Studios has always been to make the best games for PlayStation fans, and our global community of studios represent some of the most creative and talented teams within the gaming industry," Hulst writes in the statement. PlayStation 5 is in its 4th year, and we are at a stage where we need to step back and look at what our business needs. At the same time, our industry has experienced continuing and fundamental change which affects how we all create and play games. Delivering the immersive narrative-driven stories that PlayStation Studios is known for at the quality bar that we aspire to requires a reevaluation of how we operate. Delivering and sustaining social online experiences, allowing PlayStation gamers to explore our world in different ways, as well as launching games on additional devices such as PC and mobile, requires a different approach and different resources. To take on those challenges, PlayStation Studios had to grow. He continues stating that growth itself is not an ambition, likely alluding to overgrowth within PlayStation Studios as a reason for today's layoffs. Holt says PlayStation has looked at its studios and portfolio to reevaluate projects in various stages of development, has decided that some of these projects will not move forward. I want to be clear that the decision to stop working on these projects is not a reflection on the talent or passion of team members, Holst writes. Our philosophy has always been to allow creative experimentation. Sometimes great ideas don't become great games. Sometimes a project is started with the best intentions before shifts within the market or industry result in a change of plan. I am deeply saddened to see individuals leave the company. I have so much admiration, appreciation, and respect for their work. PlayStation Studios will continue to be a creator-led organization driven by evolving our beloved franchises and bringing new gameplay experiences of the highest quality to our fans. Alongside today's news, Sony Interactive Entertainment President and CEO Jim Ryan, who is departing from the company this spring, released the email he sent to PlayStation alongside today's layoffs news. Here's that email and the preceding statement in full. Quote, "The PlayStation community means everything to us. So I felt it was important to update you on a difficult day at our company. We have made the extremely hard decision to announce our plan to commence a reduction of our overall lead count globally by about 8% or by about 900 people, subject to local law and consultation processes. Employees across the globe, including our studios, are impacted. These are incredibly talented people who have been part of our success, and we are very grateful for their contributions. However, the industry has changed immensely, and we need to future ready ourselves to set the business up for what lies ahead. We need to deliver on expectations from developers and gamers and continue to propel future technology in gaming. So we took a step back to ensure we are set up to continue bringing the best gaming experiences to the community. Below, I've shared a copy of the email I sent out to the company this morning to provide more context on our thinking. We deeply appreciate PlayStation support and understanding from the PlayStation community as these decisions are very difficult. Please rest assured that our plans for reorganizing and streamlining are so we can continue to deliver the best gaming experience possible. End quote. Enroll. Subject important update regarding organizational restructuring team. Okay, it's just giving the same thing. It's okay, so is there a way I can just skip the email so I'm not reading it again? So they said there will be impact for employees across all SIE regions, meaning America, EMEA, Japan, and APAC. Several PlayStation studios are affected. For those of you in the U.S., all impacted employees will be notified today. In the U.K., it is proposed that PlayStation Studios' London studio will close its entirety, that there will be reductions in Firebright Studio, and that there will be reductions in various functions across SIE in the U.K. The proposed changes mean we'll enter a period of collective consultation before any final decisions are taken. All employees who are part of the a collective consultation will be made aware of the next steps today. In Japan, we will implement a next career support program. Details will be communicated separately. In other countries, we will begin conversation with those who are potentially at risk or impacted as a result of this proposed course of action. For those who will be leaving SIE, you are leaving the company with our deepest respect and appreciation for all your efforts during your tenure. For those who will be staying at SIE, we will be saying goodbye to friends and colleagues that we cherish during the process, and this will be painful. Your resilience, sensitivity, and adaptiveness will be critical in the weeks and months to come. This will not be easy, and I am aware of the impact it will have on well-being. Affected employees will receive support, including severance benefits. While these are challenging times, it is not indicative of a lack of strength of our company, our brand, or our industry. Our goal is to remain agile and adaptable and to continue to focus on delivering the best gaming experience now and in the future. Thank you for your understanding, sharing this difficult period. Please be kind to yourselves and to each other. These jobs join a string of other disheartening 2024 layoffs, which total more than 5,600 in just the first 2 months of the year. Yesterday, we learned Until Dawn developer Supermassive Games is laying off 90 employees. At the end of January, we learned Embracer Group had canceled a new Deus Ex game in development at Eidos Montreal and laid off 97 employees in the process. Also in January, Destroy All Humans remake developer Black Forest Games reportedly laid off 50 employees. And Microsoft announced it was laying off 1,900 employees across its Xbox, Activision Blizzard, and ZeniMax teams as well. Outrider Studio, People Can Fly, laid off more than 30 employees in January, and League of Legends company Riot Games laid off 530 employees. We recently learned that Lords of the Fallen publisher CI Games was laying off 10% of its staff, and Unity would be laying off 1,800 people by the end of March, and that Twitch had laid off 500 employees. We also learned that Discord had laid off 170 employees, that layoffs happened at PTW, a support studio that's worked with companies like Blizzard and Capcom, and that SteamWorld built company Thunderful Group let go roughly 100 people. Dead by Daylight developer Behavior Interactive also reportedly laying off 45 people too. Last year, more than 10,000 people in the games industry or game-adjacent industries were laid off. In January of last year, Microsoft has laid off 10,000 employees amidst its ongoing $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which was completed in October. Striking Distance Studios, the team behind 2022's The Callisto Protocol, laid off more than 30 employees in August of 2023. That same month, Mass Effect and Dragon Age developer BioWare laid off 50 employees, including longtime studio veterans. The following month in September, Immortals of ASIM developer Ascendant Studios laid off roughly 45% of its staff, and Fortnite developer Epic Games laid off 830 employees. I was checking to see how much more. In October of last year, the Last of Us developer Naughty Dog laid off at least 25 employees, and Telltale Games also underwent layoffs, although an actual number of affected employees has not yet been revealed. Dreams developer Media Molecule laid off 20 employees in late October. In November, Amazon Games laid off 180 staff members. Ubisoft laid off more than 100 employees. Bungie laid off roughly 100 developers, and 505 Games' parent company, Digital Brothers, laid off 30% of its staff. In December, Embracer Group closed its reformed Time Splitter studio, Free Radical Design, and earlier in the year, Embracer closed Saints Row developer Volition Games, a studio with more than 30 years of development history. A few weeks before the winter holidays, Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering owner Hasbro laid off 1,100 employees. The games industry will surely feel the effects of such horrific layoffs for years to come. The hearts of the game and former staff are with everyone who's been affected by layoffs or closures. There are comments. I'm going to get to them, and then I'll ask Dr. Games 101 what he thinks. John Leonard goes, it's kind of crazy how much Sony likes to brag about their sales numbers, but yet they can't afford to keep people employed. Fail to Reason goes, if there's no work for them, what is Sony paying them for? What would they be doing all day? Staring at a wall? And Patrick Berry goes, fixing their glitches before the game comes out, for one. And John Leonard goes, making video games. So what do you think of all these layoffs? I mean,
God damn. Wow, even Discord has stuff that's being laid off. Wow.
I have a question. Can't all these developers that got laid off get together either online or if they happen to be in the same area or get together in person and just create their own studio? Even
now that'd be interesting to see that, but they had to let go of their egos, let go of their self-interest and selfishness, though, because obviously these studios kind of have high price, high maintenance type of reputations and all. So that's one reason why they got hired by these companies at first to do the job and all. But if now with these current devs, if they're LGBT friendly or politically correct, whatever it's called, like the Sweet Baby Inc. type of people, they're not going to get nowhere as much. I mean, that's one of the reasons why they're being laid off, because they realize these are the same people that are behind sabotaging, movies and games like Ghostbusters and fucking you name it, Indiana Jones and shit like that. So they're trying to cut the bloat and cut the controversial people out of the equation. And I hope they really are living up to that matter. So it's hopefully the next 6 months to a year after these cuts, layoffs, was it better performing games in these departments? If not, then I also too they're trying to try out with ChatGPT and AI with their studios as well, but with Sony and all. So maybe that's one of the reasons why they're cutting the workers. They want to save money paying the workers and be geared towards the AI and shit, the artificial intelligence. So that's another reason why too they're doing that.
yeah, but I mean, at the same time, but like I said, I doubt all these people were just weren't thinking correctly. That's why I was wondering, maybe some of these people could get together, especially that happen to be located in the same area or that work together. All the employees from a certain studio get together, and maybe they could make independent games.
Oh yeah.
That's one thing. I don't know if that would be possible. I assume it would, because independent studios basically are basically operate on their next game succeeding. So
rather than the ad revenue and promotionals and stuff like that.
yeah, so it's just Do you think a video game crash is coming with all these layoffs, or do you
I,
think it's just something else?
I think it's like a different style of a gaming crash. Not your typical one from 1980s, early 80s and all. What happened is that the gaming in my perspective though, it's based on my analysis that these gaming companies that hire too many people or hire the wrong people for the last several years making bad products. Whether it's Naughty Dog's Uncharted of games like the one they created with the all female cast, or even movies like Blockbusters, Ghostbusters 2016 movie and stuff like that. They try to cut that blow back years back too, with their companies involved. There's movies and all, but still, it's like there are games behind those movies too. After that, if I remember correctly, so that it's the point where it's like they are trying to save money when the coming collapse or the coming crash is going to occur, and whether it's in the game industry or just the economy as a whole. So that's what these companies have been doing for months now, easily for the last several months now. And it's kind of weird at the same time too. You're right, Triple J, is that uh, they buy all these companies like whether it's was it some Activision Blizzard with Microsoft and all, and also cut their at least 500 workers, 1,000 workers, or 10,000
Microsoft
workers.
cut off 2,000.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was that much. It was like, wow, it's kind of fucked up on their part. You figure they need these employees to make sure that these companies maintain some current relativeness. But it's to the point where it's like it's a hit and miss with these companies, and some people are gonna be affected by. Majority of people are gonna be affected by this war in the industry. Uh, trying to make ends meet. So it's we'll see for the next couple of years from now after all this happening. You know.
Yeah. So, I mean, some people are saying they just got too big for their britches, but I mean, I can't see all these companies getting so big that they can't sustain themselves.
Yeah, they're too big to fail. I'm sure they're gonna be bailed out by government entities. Be like, hey, we'll bail you if you submit, your allegiance to the government or whatever happened back in the 2008 crisis and all. So this is gonna happen during the 2025, 2024, 2025 crisis now. If we're gonna have any, and
Yeah.
it was interesting too. I know this may sound like we're going back 10 years ago, but 10 years ago, Boogie 2988 talked about the a common a gaming crash. I know it sounds like he's like you want the first people to be on this matter, but he talked about this back in 2013, 2014 with what's going on back with Gamergate and all. So, he was telling the truth back then. It's just that he was 10 years too early. You know,
Right.
he's ahead of us now in this matter. So more power to
Yeah.
Gamergate,
So
right? So
unfortunately, I hope these companies find. I hope these employees find jobs. Like I said, since there's such an exodus of employees, maybe they could the ones that were let go could band together and start off their own indie developer group and see how that goes.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, put the
but
intention
yeah,
aside though.
it just sucks that we're 2 months into the year and like 10,000 people have been laid off already.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's not good because what happens when business dies down like in the summer and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, we're gonna move on.
All right. Next, GTA 6 devs slam Rockstar Games for return to office mandate. The company's head of publishing said there are tangible benefits for in-person work. A new report confirms that as Rockstar Games is entering the final stages of development on Grand Theft Auto 6, the company is mandating that employees must return to the office 5 days a week starting in April, to no applause from anyone. Bloomberg reported on February 28th that the company's head of publishing, Gene Colby, made the return to office decision. In an email to staff, Colby said that the reasoning for the mandate came down to productivity and security concerns, particularly following a huge breach in 2022 that spilled the tea on the crime sim. She also said that Rockstar Games found tangible benefits from bodies being in office seats. Grand Theft Auto changes new that Grand Theft making these changes now puts us in the best position to follow the next Grand Theft Auto at the level of quality and polish we know it requires, along with a publishing roadmap that matches the scale and ambition of the game, Colby said. That sounds nice, but no one's buying it. On Twitter, developers from Myriad Studios decried the decision, calling the return to office mandate bullshit. Return to office mandates are layoffs, a former Bungie employee tweeted. Remote workers are effectively told, move or quit. Headlines should be Rockstar lays off all remote workers, posted a sucker punch developer. It's not just folks outside of Rockstar Games that are upset with this mandate. According to a February 20 IGN report, developers at the studio are criticizing the company's decision as well. Speaking to the publication anonymously, one employee said that working from home has been a lifeline for many of us, specifying that Rockstar Games needs to rethink their reckless decision-making and engage with their staff to find solutions that work for everyone. Another anonymous employee said they fear having to work late hours in the office, which would mean developers would miss out on spending time with our families. Okay, let me get rid of this. Oh, of course, it just opens it anyway. Further, the Independent Workers of Great Britain, a union that represents UK developers, Rockstar North and Edinburgh, Scotland, is leading development on GTA 6, has also slammed Rockstar Games for the return to office move. The organization's chair, Austin Kellmore, claimed to IGN that the same report that company management will pull the plug on remote access technology on April 15th, essentially forcing employees to come into the office or else. He continued, quote, the workers in the IWGP Game Workers Union at Rockstar are pushing for transparency over pay and promotions, a healthy and inclusive workplace culture, and work-life balance centered around what each worker needs. If it is unacceptable that Rockstar leadership have gone back on their word time and time again and have ignored the workers' requests for basic working conditions. Workers across the industry are done with letting executives make reckless and harmful decisions, and the Rockstar workers are showing us the start of what's to come if they're continually ignored. There's no better time than now to join our union, oh God, and push for this to be the healthy and sustainable game industry we know it can be. Kotaku has reached out to Rockstar Games for comment. Return to office mandates have been a hot button issue in the games industry since the COVID-19 pandemic open-ended, long-standing ways of doing business. Work-from-home policies have opened the door for many folks to find employment at studios that they might not have otherwise, particularly disabled developers who can't always make it to an office. Rockstar Games is not the first developer to insist upon a return to office. Activision Blizzard demanded this same of its employees in February 2023. So, let's see. I'll read the comments and then ask Dr. Games 101 what he thinks. Pliadis Pinman goes, yeah, I'm sure the corporate real estate company who owns your buildings are seeing plenty of tangible benefits from you forcing people back in. And your middle managers whose only previous contributions were watching people actually work and whose value is being questioned, they got a lot of tangible benefits from this. Unfortunately, the remote employees' benefits of being able to live and work in a location that is convenient to them, spend more time with their loved ones, more easily take care of non-work tasks and appointments, not waste unpaid time in long commutes, not dealing with annoying people in an office, and overall doing the same work while in a better mood are not tangible enough and will be ignored. Slight Fen goes, at first I thought this was definitely a real estate city pressure to get workers back in the city, but it may simply be a way for Rockstar to lock everyone down to working long hours in the office during crunch, something harder to do if everyone is working from home. And Colton Bayou goes, would middle managers not be more useful when checking in on remote employees? I'm not a big proponent of many levels of management, but it does seem like you got to keep decent tabs with your remote employees, and it's better than bullshit cameras or activity monitors. So what do you think of Rockstar Games saying people got to return to work or else?
You need a cohesion of the company to come together, though. And in order to do that, you have to be physically there with each other in different departments working together for these matters at hand. I for one, I never been in gaming industry for making games, of course, but in office setting, I worked in the office, and I'll tell you something. You need everyone's, on in cohesive moments, to come together to fix the problem or to make the efficiency of the work to be there. Because if you do remote assistance, then it's like it's a spotty, shoddy work of sorts. Even regardless if the workers are not working or not, or on purpose or by the accident. But with in-person work or in these buildings and all, it makes more efficiency to transfer data or to at least get proper mail-in information to the proper workers or to the proper managers to oversee these projects and all. So it's you know better off having the work in person than to work remotely sometimes, especially when it comes to like making a product and all. GTA 6 is no joke. Like you have to require all sorts of hands on deck for that matter. You don't want to create a failure of a game, on this seismic, approach of promoting the game and making sure it's not working all well and dandy. It's, you can't take that risk, with a remote work, So
Yeah. As someone who has worked remotely and does and I'm trying to get back a job remotely. Um, Either get back my original job or I'm actually waiting to hear back from a job I interviewed for just a couple days ago. I do understand the thing. I do understand on one hand, um, the I do understand why it's much better to work remotely. But the thing is, at the same time, if these breaches are happening, if you live like in the same city or same county as a studio, maybe you should go back to work.
hmm
I mean, spending time with loved ones, okay. But the thing is, then this is gonna, when you work as a game developer, there's gonna be a crunch time. There's gonna be, and you're gonna be expected to work longer hours than the 40-hour work week. Um, so at the same time, like if don't get me wrong, if you don't live anywhere near a studio, that would take hours to drive to the nearest studio, or it would take, or you just can't get there because you're disabled. Then you should be able to work remotely. But like for these people who can commute back and forth to a studio, basically you think you have it hard. You should look at what was happening in Japan, how dedicated people were to their studios.
hmm
I'll tell the story that Justin Leeper told. He's the guy who made the stories for SmackDown vs. Raw, 2009, 2010, and 2011's Roads to WrestleMania. He visited Uke's studio in January. This is when the SmackDown games were coming out in October, and he said like he went to the studios and like there were people with like pillows and blankets under their desk. Basically, they would work all day, all night, sleep under their desk, and then get back to work in the morning. And he goes, this was in January. This wasn't crunch time like August or September. Um, so I mean, but that was the work ethic at Ukes. So it's at the same time, it's just like I'm kind of torn. I see the point between both. But like I said, if it's not a transportation issue, if it's not or just a getting around issue in general, then maybe you should go back.
Definitely. It's always been like that for
I mean,
decades. The office field, like
yeah, it's always been like that. I mean, you know, people might think I'm wrong, but the thing is, when I work though from remote homes, when I work from remotely, I still got a time that I have to be there and a time I have to leave.
hmm
And there were times in my jobs where, like, if say it was 11 o'clock, but I was still in the middle of doing something, I had to do it until I had to finish the task before I could sign off for the night, even if it meant I had to work 15, 30 minutes extra. So it's like, and I had time. I had a certain time I could take breaks and take my lunch hour and stuff. And it's just, and it's kind of like, I'm just wondering, if why all of a sudden this is different now. Is it, because granted, one benefit of the pandemic was that companies have found a way for employees to do remote work. And if that didn't happen, employees wouldn't have worked for employees ended up working for companies they wouldn't have worked for otherwise.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they do need to get they do have these offices. They do need to, for the people that can commute and that used to commute, why can't they commute again?
Especially live in the city. Like the city is like it's convenient as hell because you take the here in New York City we have the subway system, right? Maybe outdated for the last 100 years now. It's a 100-year-old system, but you can transfer yourself from the E train all the way to Manhattan within a 45-minute commute from Jamaica Station where I live. So more power to the ones who can't work in the city directly, but you can take the train. It's like 45 minutes, and that's it. You're in Manhattan easily. So Times Square, especially if you take the R train from the Queens Plaza and all. So it's kind of like everything's intertwined with the city. So if you live in the city and Rockstar say is in the city of Los Angeles with a subway system and all, that's perfect right there for any worker within that area. So to just walk in there and take the train, and that's it. You'll be in the office within 45 minutes, not even. So it's
Yeah.
but that was, of
So
course,
I mean,
that's of course as of like before the pandemic and all. That pandemic changed things around where people think, oh, it's my turn now to decide where I want to work or how I want to work. That was the thing back for like a couple of years since the pandemic and all. But now for the last
I
year,
will
it's like go back to
I will
normal.
say like if you were employed for a position that was fully remote and they said it was fully remote, they told you, this position's going to be remote. You're not going to be required to go in the office at all. Then it's wrong to be calling them back in because you told them when you hired them this was going to be a remote position.
And it's permanent too, right?
Yeah. So I mean, if you told them that it was remote, there would be no travel required. You can't just call them now because you want to. Um, but at the same time, the ones like I said, this is basically for the ones who used to work in the studio. There's I don't you know they say like, oh, spending more time with families. Really? I mean, if that's going to be your attitude now, what's it going to be like when there is crunch time? And you got like a month or two before the game comes out. They're probably going to ask you to work even longer,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to be and that's going to be longer hours, and then you either do it or you find a different job.
Oh yeah.
Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
Um, when it comes to GTA 6, I just want to say one thing about GTA 6. This game is going to be one of the biggest releases in the decade of gaming. In this decade of gaming, at least that, if not in history. And Rockstar cannot just be slacking off with these workers if they can't work in person to work to be cohesion with other departments in the back, from audio department to the writers to the storylines, etc., etc. So you gotta work together physically in order to get the product done in time, as well as just for the sake of sake of having a full successful release of the game. So that's all I got to say. We can move on now.
Okay. All right. Next. TMNT Arcade Wrath of the Mutants coming to consoles and PC. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade Wrath of the Mutants, the 2017 arcade game by Raw Thrills based on the 2012 Nickelodeon TV series, is coming to all home consoles. Read Xbox One, Xbox Series, PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC via Steam on April 23rd. It'll be priced at $29.99. TMNT Wrath of the Mutants is being developed by Cradle Games and Raw Thrills and includes the voice actors from the show: Seth Green, Sean Astin, Bob Paulson, Greg Sipes, reprising their roles, as well as 4-player local co-op. Check out the reveal trailer above and the screenshots of the home console version below. In addition to the original arcade game's 6 stages and 13 boss fights, this home release adds 3 all-new stages and 6 all-new boss battles. Don't miss our review of 2022's great spiritual sequel to the classic 1989 TMNT arcade game, Shredder's Revenge. Is there comments on... Let me get the comments, and then I'll ask Dr. Games 101 what he thinks. Big Mike O goes, my kids and I dropped dozens of hours into TMNT Shredder's Revenge last year and really enjoyed that art style and the 6-player fun all on one screen. I'm sure we will try this one too, but the Nickelodeon TMNT characters are just not as appealing. Carmel Apples goes, I actually just recently played it. It's hold on, my computer now. It's a fun little button masher, but not as good as Shredder's Revenge. I love anything TMNT, so I'll still get it. Ninja Stapler Man goes pretty excited for this. Never got a chance to play the game at the arcade. And 911 Time goes, this game is actually a blast. My son and I found it on an arcade on last year's beach trip and spent entirely too much money playing it. I'll buy this for sure. Can't ever have enough TMNT. I think they said there was a trailer for like the arcade one. Let me see if
I might see the trailer.
okay. Let's see because right now it's playing some advertisement. Let's okay. So it's not. Hold on. Okay. This is TMNT Wrath of the Mutants coming to consoles and PC. Hold on. Okay. Here it goes. Here it goes.
Love being a turtle.
I love being a turtle.
Bayakasha! Go pizza rumble time!
Slice and dice. Booyakasha! It's go pizza pizza rumble time. Baxter Stockman.
So, what do you think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Wrath of the Mutants coming to consoles and PC?
It's based off the
This
newest
year,
TNT.
Hold on.
For the same great price, only $20.
Okay, as you were saying.
I'll say this is based off the newest TMNT series now.
Yeah.
I think so. It's more like 3D. Pretty cool.
Yeah. So, is this a game you would be interested in, like Shredder's Revenge, or?
I'll be able to co-op with you in that game, like we did the other year or two with Shredder's Revenge. Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
So as long as they bring back April, that'd be great. You know.
I don't think so. I think it's just the four turtles this time. So no Splinter, no April.
And that sucks because back in the day, April was hot, and then those TV series and all.
She was a cartoon, for crying out loud.
What's that?
She was a cartoon.
No, you remember fucking the 1990s Teenage Mutant Turtles, the April character? She looked very attractive with that jumpsuit, the yellow jumpsuit and all. No?
The yellow jumpsuit only appeared in the cartoon. In the movie, she was wearing a yellow raincoat.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, she was like a...
No, I don't know what you mean. Help me.
She's like a redhead, you know? She's a hot redhead, you know? She seemed like a hot redhead at first, but I think now the movie version from last year, they made her into this black lesbian bitch or whatever. I don't know. It was like, what the fuck is going on with this TMFT brand? You know, remember the hot April back in the '90s, and I get turned on by that, and I watch it every Saturday, and I don't know why was I attracted to April, but I was attracted to April. You know, it was like, what the hell, huh? Oh man. I miss those days. You know what I'm talking about, James.
Okay, before we start hearing weird noises coming from Dr. Games 101's end, this is, again, I hate to say it, this might be the one where April is like a 10-year-old girl, because
fuck.
Because I played the Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on Xbox 360, and like when they had April I'd give you like a message at the bottom of the screen, and I was like, that's her?
Yeah, never mind. I'm sorry.
I shouldn't have stopped playing the game though. I should have played it. I got it. But the thing is, the game was brand new at GameStop for $10.
Yeah.
maybe that should have been a warning sign.
We should have talked about Shredder's Revenge for another few more months. You know.
Yeah, but anyway, this game does come out April 23rd. It's for if you whether you got an Xbox One or PS4 or you've upgraded to PS5 or Xbox Series, you'll still be able to play it. It's only going to be $30, so hopefully I'll have a job by the time it comes out. And if it does have online play, maybe I'll get it.
Well, you know what's interesting about these releases? A certain major games like the TMNT, Crash Bandicoot, hell, even games like certain Assassin's Creed games, they'll release it on still on Xbox One and PS4 after 4 years since the Series X and S and PS5's release. Isn't that kind of weird? Like
Yeah.
usually it's supposed to have after 2 years after the new console comes out that the previous console it goes into ending itself, but now they continue
Well, kind of,
to support
yeah,
it,
it kind of destroys the argument for getting a new console, specifically the PS5 or the Xbox Series.
Yeah.
I think PS5 is worse of this because there are a lot of games that were released next or current. I guess you could call them current gen only that don't show up on last gen. But I know Microsoft was saying any game that shows up on Xbox they want to be backwards compatible with Xbox One, the original. So I mean it's kind of like, why would I upgrade if most of the games I want to play could still be played on my old hardware?
Yeah.
But I do know, I think it was Phil Spencer from Xbox who said, like, any game that's going to appear on an Xbox console will be backwards compatible. That obviously didn't happen with every single game.
Yeah.
But that was the idea at first. Like, any game that can run on the advanced hardware should run on last generation's hardware, so people can still play it, whether or not they've upgraded to the next console. I think that's what I think that's a requirement on Game Pass.
Okay.
And then you can get, and then if it's came out natively just for the advanced consoles, hopefully you can still play it on your old hardware if it's available over the cloud. But yeah, so anyway, this does look interesting, but I definitely want to wait for reviews before I commit to buying it.
Yeah.
Ready to move on?
Speaking of TMNT Arcade, I definitely will to play it for a few hours, see how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the arcade games are always fun. I never got the Cowabunga collection. I should get that.
Yeah, same here. Especially the physical things.
But well, I don't know. I don't even know. Now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder how much the games would be just to get, because I know the Nintendo games would run a pretty price, at least the second and third, not to mention the Game Boy games.
Oh yeah.
Hyperstone Heist and Turtles in Time I could do without, just because I played Turtles in Time. I never played Hyperstone Heist, but I know Hyperstone Heist is pretty cheap.
Okay. And I already got the not the emulation of Turtles in Time myself somewhere on my computer. I can find it though. It's been so many years I haven't played that specific port,
Right.
So.
All right. So ready to move on?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Next, I think we only got like 4 stories left. Yep.
Okay.
Life is Strange True Colors Studio Deck 9 lays off 20% of staff. The studio said has been affected by the games industry worsening market conditions. Deck 9, the studio behind Life is Strange entries Before the Storm and True Colors, as well as the Expanse, a Telltale series, laid off 20% of its staff today. The studio announced in a statement on Twitter today, writing, "Like many others in the game industry right now, Deck 9 has been affected by the game industry's worsening market conditions. These people are amazing, talented, and awesome developers," the statement adds. "They have made a huge impact during their time at Deck 9 Games, and we did not take this decision lightly. Please hire these people if you can. They're amazing." Deck 9 didn't specify how many people that 20% equates to, but IGN understands that the studio employed roughly between 100 to 130 staffers prior to today's layoffs. A number of the laid-off staffers were quick to post about the news on social media. Elizabeth Ballou, who served as a narrative designer at Deck 9, wrote that all workers affected by the layoffs would be getting only 2 weeks of severance pay, regardless of time spent at the company. Deck 9 previously went through another round of layoffs last May, which, according to a statement sent to GameDeveloper.com, affected 30. Hold on. I hate when the article just jumps up by itself. Affected 30 people. As mentioned, the studio is best known for its work on the Life is Strange series, including 2022's remastered collection, as well as the Expanse title it co-developed with Telltale Games. As Deck 9's statement notes, it's unfortunately only the latest in a long list of layoffs to the games industry over the past year. Just earlier today, Sony announced layoffs at PlayStation that will affect 900 staff members, or about 8% of its global workforce. Microsoft, meanwhile, is laying off a shocking 1,900 people from its video game workforce. As was revealed earlier this year, an estimated 10,000 game workers lost their jobs in 2023 alone, and this year has continued to be relentless in the industry. I'm going to get comments, and then I can ask Dr. Games 101 what he thinks. Whoa. Okay, Elias Sampson goes, that's terrible. Hold on. That's terrible. I'm sure they needed every single one of those teammates to meet their hiring quotas, host their weekly ESG meetings, and polish up their biennial releases of angsty hipster point-and-click adventures. Someone replied to that, going, LMAO. Keith Star Hero goes, more of the work-from-home forever crowd getting the boot. If you don't want to get laid off, come to the office. If you don't want your coworkers to get laid off, tell them to come to the office. Lightbanger XIII goes, the idiocy of this comment is off the charts. Where was it slated that the employees not only work from home, but also refuse to come back to the office? You literally just fabricated a reason to have a laugh at people losing their jobs. And Gaming Devil Keystar Hero goes, I get forced to work every day when I was COVID positive. That's not good. The lettuce isn't going to wash itself at my burger place. Okay, I'm not going to continue comments from. So, what do you think of Deck 9 laying off 20% of its staff?
And they made good games too, like Life is Strange. So it's
Yep,
yeah, that's weird on their
that was
part.
one of their biggest hits.
I don't understand. I mean, I understand we're going through a recession. Here's the screwed up part about the economic news so far. People from CNBC, NBC, such these mainstream media sites,
Yep.
they say that they were not going through a recession, we're just going through a shift with what Biden was saying. Whenever he's telling the truth of Biden saying that he did some job makings, whatever. But that's just that's from what about the other opposite end of the matter where jobs were lost for the last year. So it's kind of like it's it's a give and take. There's no really real change with the economy per se, other than the fact that we're still being affected from the 2008 crisis. Last time I checked. So Life is Strange, of course. He said kept on to their workers from all that success they did. They're making Life is Strange 3 if they have to. Me
Yeah.
personally, I never really played fully of the game Life is Strange. I played Chapter 1 for the 360 version, and then I'm playing a remaster right now, thanks to you, Triple J, for offering me as a gift, whatever, the other year or whatever. I'm replaying the Chapter 1 of that scenario. So, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, they've made so many games. Life is Strange Before the Storm, Life is Strange True Colors. They made a second one that had absolutely no relation to the first three games, or those three games, I should say, because I think True Colors was the most recent. Yeah, and the thing is, I never played the Expanse, a Telltale series, but the thing is, these games, we haven't heard anything since Life is Strange True Colors, and Life is Strange True Colors came out 2 years ago?
Definitely.
So it's kind of like, what have they been doing? What have they been working on? Like Dr. Games 101 said, they couldn't get at least another episode out of a new Life is Strange, or even if whether or not they used past characters or new characters. What have they been doing basically all this time?
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, it sucks, but I'm I think that also means it's going to be a long time before we see any more Life is Strange games. They never made the return to Arcadia Bay that they were supposed to make, that they had a trailer for in 2021
Right.
also.
Right.
So it's kind of like it's like well, I'm just wondering what they were doing the last couple of years.
Hmm. I guess it started to have bloat over the last couple of years, and now they got cut it. You know,
Yeah.
let's hope. Let's hope
Anyway,
that's
ready?
let's hope that's the factor, not the sub factor. You know.
Right. Ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Next, Chrono Trigger director asks what fans would want in a remake. FF7 Rebirth producer and Chrono Trigger director Yoshinori Kitase brought up the subject of remaking one of the best games of all time. If there is one game that fans would love to see return more than any other in the midst of the industry's remake fever, it would have to be Chrono Trigger. The 1995 time traveling RPG made by a dream team of developers who had worked on Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy remains one of the best games of all time, at least in players' memories. Yoshinori Kitase, the game's director and a producer on the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, seems to be thinking about how fans and possibly Square Enix would revisit and revitalize Chrono Trigger. While appearing on the Mr. Perfect Console podcast, Kitase, speaking through a translator, brought up the idea of Chrono Trigger getting a new life to host Simon Pocket. If players are to play this game today, what would be the most favorable way in which it is presented? Kitase asked. Would it be something that's just directly as is from before on a modern platform console? Or is it something where the graphics are remastered? Or is it something like Final Fantasy VII Remake, that where the game design and visuals are completely revamped and updated to meet the modern trends? While this doesn't confirm Kitase and Square Enix are working on a Chrono Trigger remake, it does speak to Kitase's current mindset, which seems to be concerned with how developers can best approach updating past titles. It's a challenge that he called difficult to pull off during his appearance. Um, there are rumors that a Chrono Trigger remake is already underway. These rumors suggest that the remake would be an HD 2D remake in the style of the 22 version of Live Alive, blending the pixel art graphics of the original with a more 3D environment. If there is indeed a Chrono Trigger remake and Kitase is involved, hopefully we'll be able to keep players interested, whether it's HD 2D or has all the splendor of FF7 Rebirth. I'll bring up some comments and then I'll ask Dr. Games 101 what he would like to see. Um, I'll also have something to mention because Chrono Trigger is one of my favorite games of all time.
Indeed.
So, um, you know what? While I'm waiting for comments to load, Doctor Games 101, what do you have any ideas on what to do for Chrono Trigger if they do remake it?
Here's the deal. Now, I will admit this. I only played so far the first 4 or 5 hours of Chrono Trigger still to this day after all these years of owning the game. And I have trouble starting to record for the last couple of years now because of my capture card is messed up. So I try to get a new capture card hopefully by next month or two. Now, other than that, when playing the Chrono Trigger game and hearing things about for decades, the remake should be a good add-on to the list of game libraries. Um, Now, obviously it's a current year of 2024, so censorship and ESG and LGBT friendly and you name it, all this shit going on for the last 7 years now, all well and good, but it's getting out of hand. So of course we might get like a good a good smothering of it of this stuff. So now Chrono Trigger, I don't know, man. Having a remake, it'd be nice to see that a 3D version of itself of a remake. Going through those moments of where Chrono is just like interacting with the chick and all, and she got lost in time and all, and because the princess or the princess of some kingdom, and within 4 hours of the game and all, it's I can see something like that happening with now instead of it being like all text, it'd be like like voice acting. That's gonna be a problem of itself. Like who's gonna be the voice actor of each major character? Chrono, the frog, the princess, and all. It's hard to tell. who's gonna make it. That's gonna be the hardest part of it all. After that, then it should be all nothing but a breeze for the remake to occur.
Could they really do a voiceover of a game that with that much text? I mean, even the Final Fantasy VIII remake was text basically.
I mean, doing it with Final Fantasy VII remake by now. It's the Rebirth that came out last week or two. That's the second part to the third part trilogy of the Final Fantasy VII remakes. That's a lot of content right there of itself of having that remake of Final Fantasy VII.
Did they have voiceovers, or was it text like before?
Text like before in 1997.
Yeah. So yeah. So I'm saying, while voiceovers would be nice, I'm not sure if it's possible.
It's possible. Like I said, they're doing it with Final Fantasy VII remake. Because back 25 years ago, it's on 3 discs, the Final Fantasy VII game on PS1.
Right.
And then now, 20 years later, it came out in 2020 on the PS4, PS5, systems. So that's the first part of it all. When you go into Midgar and then get out of Midgar, and at the end of the part, last time I checked. It's like kind of like that. That's just one part of the entire, entity of that remake, and it's still got one more left to release the next 2 and 5 years from now. At least at the end of the PS5 cycle, you know. So it's possible for Final Fantasy VII. It's possible also for Chrono Trigger, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I have a couple. If they were going to remake Chrono Trigger, I'd want them to keep the 2D HD
Okay.
look of it. But what I would love is like for them to include the cutscenes that came in the PlayStation port. Like when Chrono, Luca, and Maul, I'm using their default names. When Chrono, Luca, and Maul find the robot, there was actually in the PlayStation game like a cutscene where Chrono, Luca, and Maul look in this dark room and they see a robot sitting in the corner of the room that is unoperational, and Luca goes to fix it. So like maybe more cutscenes like those, because in the PlayStation version they were very few and far between. I only came like across 2 or 3. So maybe cutscenes like that. If voiceover is possible, then definitely, because not only would you have to like 7 characters, then you have the non-playable characters that you would need voiced over. Then you would need the enemies voiced that were voiced over. So like I said, a game as big as Chrono Trigger, it would definitely be huge. I could see it being a huge thing, but it would be nice if it was voiced over and nothing was cut out. Obviously, keep any representation or inclusion or all that or crap away from it as far as possible. That's what I would say for Chrono Trigger.
We're pretty much on the same
Basically,
page,
more cutscenes like in the PlayStation port. Make it look better, but keep the graphics the same. Don't do a complete overhaul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's basically all I can say because Chrono Trigger was a great game by itself.
Oh yeah.
But this remake would also be a good thing because if you want to get like the Super Nintendo port or the DS port, they are expensive. They are over $100 each. Only the PlayStation port is really affordable to most people.
Yeah.
So Chrono Trigger would.
Yeah, I got my copy of PS1 copy back like at least 5 or 7 years ago, and that was like about
Yeah, I used
$30, $20 I bought it for.
Yeah, it's the
Brand new, by the
Chrono
way.
Trigger Final Fantasy 2 bundle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got
so
that for about $30, $25 at most. Brand new, by the way.
oh wow.
Yeah, this is back in
Yeah, so
2016.
definitely keep those other things. Those are the only things I could think of. Definitely keep most of the game the same though, because Chrono Trigger was a great game when it came out. That's why people still love it to this day, 30 years later.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's newer upcoming gamers that just started to play games want to know more about what's it like playing the old games from the 1990s into the 2020 standpoint or 2020 style of gaming. Now, that'd be cool right there. Because obviously you bring like the
Yeah,
sons and daughters and the fathers and uncles together. They play Chrono Trigger for the first time. What a YouTuber by the name of the Seventh Level did. Like he was a big not big. He was a fanboy, nothing like that. But he had both Xbox and PS4 at the time, and he was reviewing it all. He had his son growing up with him over the years on that channel, and he starts playing Knack and Assassin's Creed with him and such. So like this is perfect for to make new content on YouTube for this matter with Chrono Trigger remake. More power to these gamers, right? So
yeah, yeah. So hopefully there is a remake coming. I'd love to see what they do with it if there is a remake in the works.
definitely,
Ready to move on?
yeah, you can move on.
Okay. Yang Ye talked about this on his channel. WB Games says it plans to double down on live service despite Suicide Squad failing to meet expectations. Warner Brothers is looking to avoid volatile markets. Warner Brothers Games went to further invest in live service even after Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League failed to impress. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO and President of Streaming and Games, J.B. Perrette, spoke about the company's strategy during a recent Morgan Stanley event. He acknowledges the success of projects like the single-player Hogwarts Legacy, which managed to be last year's best-selling game in the U.S., but says the business of AAA console releases can be volatile. That's a great business when you have a hit like Hogwarts Legacy. It makes this year look amazing, Perrette said. Unfortunately, we also have disappointments. We just released Suicide Squad this quarter, which was not as strong. It just makes it very volatile. He explains that Warner Brothers is looking at its four major franchises, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and DC, and is hoping to expand in the mobile and multi-platform free-to-play space. It will take some time for Warner Brothers' efforts to come to fruition, with Perrette estimating we'll see the impact between 2025 and 2027. He does say, though, that the company will release more mobile free-to-play titles later this year. Within the studio segment, we're doubling down on games as an area where we think there is a lot more growth opportunity that we can tap into with the IP that we have and some of the capabilities on the studio side. Where we're uniquely positioned as both a publisher and a developer of games, he says. This pivot will see the company emphasizing its live service offerings too. Perrette is interested, for example, in creating an ongoing project set in the world of Harry Potter. Yeah, because they gotta ruin that now. Rather than just launching a one-and-done console game, how do we develop a game around, for example, Hogwarts Legacy of Harry Potter? There's a live service where people can live and work and build and play in the world in an ongoing basis, he said. It's a strategy that will see Warner Brothers leaning on its billion-dollar IP in a way that is meant to create consistent revenue streams. The goal is to create meaningful growth in games over the next couple of years. Meanwhile, many already view the company's Suicide Squad game as a live service project, even though its developer Rocksteady Games seems uninterested in using that label. As for the Harry Potter universe, Warner Brothers has been clear that it wants to create more adventures in that universe, including a Quidditch game. Yeah, because people will love that. Let's go to comments, and then I'll ask Dr. Games 101 what he thinks. Lord Krieg goes, that's a great business when you have it like Hogwarts Legacy. It makes the year look amazing, Perrette said. Fortunately, you also have disappointment. We just released Suicide Squad this quarter, which was not as strong. It just makes it very volatile. So, they learned absolutely nothing from this? This is literally their quote. Hogwarts Legacy, a single-player experience, was a critical success, while their biggest failure, Suicide Squad, is the exact game they're doubling down on. How does that make any sense to WB execs? Tank Ken 8 goes, you have to look to the audience that the exec is speaking to. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO and President of Streaming and Games, J.B. Perrette, spoke about the company's strategy during a recent Morgan Stanley event. As much as doubling down on the service fills players with tears of existential dread, it fills investors and shareholders with tears of happiness and joy. And Cheryl Lonely goes, because they're WB execs, up is down, left is right, and wood is a drink to them. And then Deacon Black goes, WB, why make one game that sells 10 million copies when we can make 20 that sell 5,000? So what do you think of WB not learning anything from their failed Suicide Squad game?
Well, not here's the worst. Here's the worst surprise. Hearing rumors. I know this may sound partially off a topic with WB games per se, but it's still the plan to make more of these games. But within the next 5 or 10 years from now, they want to make another 10, if not 12, battle royale games too. So it's kind of like
Yeah,
more
they did say that.
yeah, it's WB's not learning from that mistakes, and whoever these companies that are going to make these 10 battle royale games or live service games or whatever comes first, it's stupid on their part to do so because yes, it's a success with Fortnite back in 2017. No problems for how many decades, so 7 years of this Fortnite and all. What's it called? PUBG as well as Apex Legends. But those were the first three major battle royale type of games that came out back in the mid to late 2010s. So they have more power, more availability, more attraction to those type of games of themselves. Now Suicide Squad, they fucked up on their part for turning that story, which is part of the DC universe story up until next year. It's going to reboot the series for the movies in 2025 with the new Superman movie coming out next year. And I think Henry Cavill is not going to be part of that anymore. Henry Cavill is dropping out of the DC universe after this year. Whatever movies coming out or series or whatever games or movies or whatever for this year, it's going to be the last year for that. This is what I hear based on my research. So it's they're not doing too well. These companies, they're just fucking up and just like, yeah, we're gonna make some money by cash cowing, people with the microtransactions and live service games, making sure that there's no ending, there's no, it's just always open ended type of games, And like it works well. Like I said, the first 3 times, like I said, with PUBG, Fortnite, and Apex Legends. But that's about it. You gotta do this like at least once every few years to a couple of decades because based on statements going on with Apex gamers, not gamers themselves, but the community, the game Apex Legends is going to be on for another at least 15 years of its life cycle, or 20 years. This is what Jay Mills was saying back many weeks ago about the matter. So how you going to compete with Apex Legends and PUBG and Fortnite, especially Fortnite, just to get those first millions of dollars, in that cash cow, I want to call it. It's stupid. What are these companies doing with this microtransaction, battle royale, live service games? So
Yeah, but that's not even the big. I mean, that's not even the worst problem. The worst problem is they think their other franchises need to be live service also, even after Suicide Squad killed the Justice League failed. So I mean, if they want to make a live service game, they should do something like DC Universe Online, where people were able. It was basically where all the superheroes were gone. People could create their own characters. I never really got into it because I created my character. I ran around the city. And I was like, what's there to do? How do I interact with other players and everything? They could do something like that, maybe instead of run and gun, like maybe melee attacks and stuff, or if you find guns lying around, create a universe where, if they want to create a live service game so bad, create a game where people can create their own villain, and then just run around the streets, and either they're fighting other villains or they're teaming up with other villains, And then you gotta be worried is if this guy I teamed up with, is he gonna stab me in the back, or am I gonna stab him in the back first? That would be a live service game people would be interested in checking out. But no, unfortunately, they don't know how to make good games at this point. I think Harry Potter is going to get the same treatment as being a live service game, the next one they make. Yeah, and I think WB just hasn't learned. Maybe they'll start learning when this affects their money.
yeah.
But it's kind of hard. Like, they see one game that was one way succeed, another game that was a completely different way fail, and they're like, yeah, the game that failed, we're going that way. Get a clue. I beg you.
I think these are people who are much older than us. Triple J. They're like in their 50s and 60s, and I think that like, oh, this is what the kids who want for the 1990s and all. But the 1990s back then, they didn't have like kind of live service games, or I mean, they did have
Nope.
something similar with the Sega Genesis, with the cable services. Not so much.
That wasn't the same. That was basically like advertisements, like where you could play demos and stuff.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, first, it's kind of like that kind of style back then at best. It's now
Yeah,
it's like
but that
yeah.
but the thing is, I mean, demos are a different thing. I'd love for them to start releasing demos again, like demo disc, like we had during the early PlayStation days.
Hmm.
Um, because people wouldn't have loved, Spyro the Dragon, Medieval, Metal Gear Solid, Tomb Raider. They wouldn't have had the fan bases they did if those demo discs hadn't come out.
Hmm.
Their fan base wouldn't have been as big, at least until after the first game.
Oh yeah.
Um, Metal Gear Solid blew up like a phoenix. No one expected Metal Gear Solid to do the business it did. Um, but back to WB. Yeah, they're going the wrong way. And hey, if they want to continue to make games that are going to do as badly as Suicide Squad, you know what? Maybe they deserve to go out of business because no company is too big to fail.
And the WWE's been around for what, at least 75 years that we know of. So they're gonna fuck up their
Yeah,
they're gonna fuck up their revenue.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, they're gonna fuck up their revenue, they're gonna fuck up their reputation, like Disney did with themselves for the last couple of years now with the LGBT don't say gay bill and all that stuff. They shouldn't be involved to begin with in the first place. They should just focus on their entertainment aspect of their company, and that's about it. But no, they has to be too political and everything. It's ridiculous.
yeah. So like I said, unfortunately, if a WB game comes by and it says live service anywhere, we'll just watch it crash and burn. Maybe then eventually WB will get the point.
Yeah. But actually, what Angry Joe did the other week or two with the Killer Justice League review, I saw the full video, and I'm like, he was pissed off at the very end of the review, saying that not only you have to beat that one Brainiac or Brain Matter type of boss, but you got to do like 10 of those bosses over the next several seasons that comes out over the next couple of years. So that was pissy. That was pissy right there. What the WB did with their Killer Justice League type of game playing. Who's gonna come back 10 more times to play the 10 different iterations, but the same boss though of the matter. Over the next 2, 3, 4 years. After release.
Yeah, yeah. Not to mention, like I said, even that Joker DLC, I was like, are they even still going to do that with how badly this game bombed?
Hmm.
But apparently so, because WB hasn't learned its lesson yet.
Yeah, let's throw more money at the problem. That's a good idea.
Well, the good news is, like I said, no company is too big to fail. Even Disney learned that. So
And they're
hey,
still gonna collapse too, Disney at this rate.
yeah, if WB wants to follow in their footsteps and by making games that no one wants,
Yep.
ready to move on to the final topic for tonight?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Xbox Game Pass March 2024 Wave 1 lineup revealed. Microsoft has announced the first wave of games coming to Xbox Game Pass in March of 2024. Out today, March 5th, is Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun for cloud console and PC. This boomer shooter takes on Warhammer 40,000, got a 7 out of 10 from IGN's reviews. Retro shooting and fast-paced arenas suit the Warhammer 40k setting nicely, but Bolt Gun falls short of greatness because its ideas peter out too quickly. Some good level design and nice environments make up for a lack of variety. Paw Patrol World for Cloud Console and PC hits Game Pass on March 7th. Then on March 12th, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated for Cloud Console and PC launches on Game Pass. IGN's review returned a 5 out of 10 for SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. Rehydrated sinks under its reverence to nostalgia. Yeah, I got that. I think I got that. It was either that game, Battle for Bikini Bottom, or Truth or Square that I got for Games with Gold.
Okay.
And I just remember it being an awful game. A day later, on March 13th, Control Ultimate Edition for Cloud Console and PC launches on the Game Pass. Control Ultimate Edition contains the main game and all previously released expansions, the Foundation and AWE. Our Control review praised Remedy's supernatural third-person action adventure, saying it creates a captivating, oddball world that never loses the thread of its supernatural tale. Then on March 14th, Game Pass gets No More Heroes 3 from Cloud Console and PC. This one got a 6 out of 10 from IGN's review. No More Heroes 3 is an amusing but extremely uneven sequel, with its entertaining bosses separated mostly by poor performance and bare-bones tedium. Lightyear Frontier, game preview for Cloud PC and Xbox Series, hits Game Pass on March 19th as a day one release. It is an open-world farming exploration game with crafting, resource management, and base building, wrapped in a mystery-driven narrative with a cosmic country soundtrack. And finally, the big hitter, MLB The Show 24 for Cloud Console is available on day one with Game Pass from March 19th. Game Pass members can unlock up to 4 days early access plus Deluxe Edition bonus content if they buy the Digital Deluxe add-on bundle. So we already talked about the games leaving. I'm just going to go over the titles again. Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun, Paw Patrol World, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, Control Ultimate Edition, No More Heroes 3, Lightyear Frontier, which is just a preview, and MLB The Show 24. Let me get comments, and then I'll see if Dr. Games 101 cares about any of these games coming out. Real Frowns goes, some decent additions. Every year, I can't help but laugh that Xbox users get to play MLB The Show for free on Game Pass, while PS5 players have to buy it. Annual releases like that are not something I would revisit down the road when newer versions are available, so they're perfect for playing through Game Pass instead. And Real Frowns goes, the scenario, some comment was deleted because it violated IGN policy, but this was Real Frowns' response. The scenario around MLB The Show is a lot funnier, given it's made by Sony, was exclusive for a long time, and then MLB forced them to make it multi-platform and put it on Game Pass. FWWM Sonos goes, GT7 is better than Forza this round, it seems. The VR looks really cool for GT, but I don't think I could justify it as cost for a few games. And Fandango Brandango 69 goes, it's the kind of game that you're really into, then you play it all year, and I'd rather just buy it outright than only being able to play it via a sub. I only sub to Game Pass 1 or 2 months a year. I hate baseball anyway, so it's pretty irrelevant. Do you care about any of these games coming to Game Pass?
Not really. I will admit that. The only thing that pops out was a couple of games though. SpongeBob Bikini Bottom and the other one you mentioned with it's like a shooter game as well. What's that called again?
Warhammer?
I think so. Blam, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, none of these games really interest me. MLB The Show, it's baseball. If you're not really familiar with the roster, you could play a game from 10 years ago and really not know the difference. Like I said, SpongeBob SquarePants, I played one of their games. I forget if it's Battle for Bikini Bottom or Truth or Square, and whichever one it was awful. You know, so, and even Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun, IGN was like, eh.
Yeah, the Bolt Gun is hard to play here. It's not the best Warhammer game, but it's hard to play for the first run of it, at least that. So I want to play that game as well if it's on sale for a few bucks on the store.
Well, this is what they said. Retro shooting and fast-paced arenas suit the Warhammer 40K setting nicely, but Bolt Gun falls short of greatness because its ideas peter out too quickly. Some good level design and nice environments make up for a lack of variety.
Okay.
So they're just basically saying it gets boring to play very quickly.
Oh yeah. At least Space Marine you can keep your interest on for many years to come. Back in the day,
yeah,
I played Space Marine demo on a 360 when it was available to play the 360. I should get a copy of the Space Marine copy even if it costs a bundle, a hefty price for the used copy. You know.
Let's see how much Space Marine would cost. I just closed my internet browser, so give me a minute to open it back up.
Yeah, sure.
Um, yeah, but like I said, none of these games really interest me. So you might be better off just getting Space Marine. Hold on, Firefox. They don't close right. They don't. When I shut down the browser, it doesn't close right away. It needs like a minute or two to fully close. All right, so I'll be trying to get to price charting. But in the meantime, uh, um, yeah, that's the last story we have for tonight. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. Episode 94 will be in 2 weeks on um, the 13th, on the 23rd. Planning to start at 9 p.m. Eastern. If I got one job, I do have one job that I'm waiting to hear back from. They did say some Saturdays would be required, maybe like one a month. So if that impacts the podcast, we'll deal with that as it happens. Do you have any plans for Sunday?
For tomorrow, unfortunately, not really, because I will finally admit this to you guys. The capture card is really that I currently have is the not all that well right now. I have to get a new capture card for next month or two. I mentioned that in my updates I put on YouTube the other day, so check those my Twitter out and my YouTube videos just in case. I do cover other things too, other than on gameplay, and so hopefully next several weeks or few months I'll not finish, but continue on with recordings. Hopefully by next month or earlier, so when I get a new capture card button, hopefully. So that's all I got to say.
All right, so Firefox is being temperamental. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I do not know if I plan to be on tomorrow, but do check the About section of my Twitch profile. There might be something on YouTube tomorrow. I'm not going to guarantee that. But I hope you enjoyed this. Follow me here and subscribe to me on YouTube. And until then, see you next time.
Later,
Good night,
guys.
everyone.
Later, guys.